Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. Population 4.5 million. It is Australia's most populous city, and it's also the nation's most vibrant and much-loved destination. Three hours west of Sydney is Mount Panorama, Bathurst. 6.2 kilometres of tarmac that is respected globally by the best drivers in the world. It's a place where the brave prosper and the weak fall behind. Get it wrong, and it will punish you.
Oh, look at this carnage at the top of the mountain here.
Get it right, and it will reward you.
England wins the Liqui Moly. 12 hours. Bathurst delivers.
Today, the world descends upon this great mountain for Australia's international endurance race, the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour. Amongst the 54-car field are some of the biggest marques in the motoring world. Ferrari, Lamborghini, Porsche, Aston Martin, Bentley, Mercedes-Benz, McLaren, Audi, Nissan, all brands with a remarkable racing pedigree. 169 drivers from 15 countries will tackle this mountain, and the level of talent is immense. Amongst them are Formula One stars, Le Mans 24-hour champions, and Bathurst heroes. There are the veteran champions and the young stars of the future, but all have one common goal. Today, that is a Bathurst victory. This is a race where there are no second chances. These drivers will be living and breathing every waking moment at this world-class piece of motor racing real estate. This is Mount Panorama. This is the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour.
Hello everyone and welcome wherever you're watching around Australia on Channel 7. Welcome to Mount Panorama and welcome to the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour race. What an incredible event it has been so far. We've already seen the fastest ever official lap at Mount Panorama clocked. We've seen 5 different manufacturers occupy the 5 front spots on the grid, and we have seen some incredible racing so far today. We are now just past the 5-hour mark of this 12-hour race, and it has been run, I've got to say, not like an endurance race. At most of the time, it's been like a sprint race for the cars out in front. It has been a great battle. At the moment, it's Nissan and Mercedes-Benz SLS battling it out at the front of the field. Bentleys have been around there as well. It has been an incredible event. I hope you enjoy it for the rest of the afternoon. You're here with us on 7. 169 drivers here representing 15 countries. It is a truly international event. Well, we've enjoyed it so far. So while we're still under safety car, let's go back to our commentators and rejoin the action. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, Mark. He's getting the best job, I reckon. Gets to see the scenery and this beautiful weather. I'm John Hindhaugh. Richard Krill is with me, and the editor of dailysportscar.com, Graham Goodwin. And boys, what 4-5 hours we've had already. Under safety car at the moment, so a perfect opportunity to go back and bring everybody on 7 up to speed with what has been an excellent display of the very top class of GT racing from around the world. The mountain always produces for my money, and a start in the dark at 10 minutes to the hour this morning meant that everyone was working hard. The production class cars giving us some great shots of the brakes, but plenty of great racing and a little bit of contact out in the darkness. Mazda RX-7 ex-Grand Am car almost bringing out our first safety car, but just about got away with it thanks to the quick reflexes of Craft Bamboo racing driver. And then, well, local intervention.
As it does so often here at Mount Panorama, a kangaroo got in the way of the BMW M3 GTR. The Compare Insurance Aston Martin had a couple of spins, but they will live to fight another day and continue to circulate behind the safety car at this point. This was a wild moment. This was the car leading the race at the start. Marcus Winkelhock was leading. Unfortunate moment for Richard Gardner in the bright yellow Porsche, made contact, but that is another car that returned to fight. This was hairy for the Nissan GTR. Big moment. Wolfie Reed behind the wheel of that car had a big slide and almost ended up. The 32 JBS Racing Lamborghini, they've been unlucky in the past here at Mount Panorama, and that spin was but the start for them today. They've been going okay, but they've dropped a couple of laps, and not a few laps later, the sister Lamborghini spun at exactly the same spot.
Something about that part of the track, and while we're talking about similar manufacturers, two Porsches getting together, slightly offline for the iMac 51 car. It's been a hard weekend for them, and they took out the mobile Porsche as well. Now look in the mirrors, imagine how scared you'd be if you saw this coming down the highway. Great piece of opportunist overtaking. You need to be on your money right the way through this race. Sadly, Chris Meeks not quite getting his braking point right and turning around the Bentley with his Audi.
This was John Bowe immediately after taking over the Flying B Racing Bentley. The Aussie entered car spun at the top of Mountain Straight at Griffin's Bend, but has returned to the fight, and that car continues to circulate just outside the top 10. That brought out a safety car a spin. This was a huge moment for Matt Bell, who was later forced to pit early after some severe dehydration, and I wonder if that off was part of the sign. And as always, the local wildlife getting involved in the race here.
Well trained, though, wait for the gap in the safety car train. A little bit of Lambo on Ferrari action, but really no harm, no foul. They were messing about laps down, actually. Shouldn't have been doing that. And then, how about this? Watch the Bentley flashing the lights on the Audi. And my goodness, Peter Fitzgerald took a very wild ride indeed. Somehow the car stayed on all four wheels, and even when he rejoined and left again, nobody picked him up.
And that car was running towards the top 10 when that happened too. So former winner of the 12-hour Peter Fitzgerald suffered some dramas. There was bumps, there was bruises, and this is Nathan Antunes with a moment at the cutting, which has claimed some victims today, John.
Yeah, that blue piece of wall seems to have been a magnet for motor racing. Down in the pit lane, you've seen Mark, here's Shea Adam.
Well, one of the guys who is very familiar with the inner workings of this track is Matt Griffin. Matt's been here 3 times to Bathurst. 2 of those he's come away with the podium, 2nd and a 3rd. And Matt, you were just telling me about your very interesting strategy for today. It's you, Tony Vielander, and Mak Weng Sun. He's already done with his driving, so now it's you and Tony Vielander. Think that'll be the secret to get you on the top step of the podium?
Well, we went with this strategy. I mean, Wayne, who is our unseated driver, he's our amateur driver, he did all of his driving, 2 hours, 50 minutes at the start, so we've dropped down the order. But because of the safety cars, I just did a very long stint there, and we're just struggling to make ground. We got a super fast car, as always, with Clearwater, but you make ground, and then a safety car comes out, it truncates the field. We're trying to work strategy with splashing, but then that puts you out at the back of the train, and then you've got to get through the slower cars. So, I mean, this is a very individual race, a very tough race. At the moment, our strategy is probably not working for us, but there's a long way to go, and you know, Tony's in the car now, and I think he's going to be super rapid in it. So we need some long green periods so we can use our speed to our advantage, really.
And that's Tony Vielander, 2-time Le Mans winner, 2014 WEC champion. He's no slouch. You're no slouch either. ELMS champ in a Ferrari. You guys know what you're doing around here. So what is the ultimate strategy?
Now we're just absolutely going as hard as we can. You know, for me, through the traffic at the moment, I'm still taking a bit of caution. We'll have to see how it plays out. If we're not making any ground, we'll probably have to add a bit more risk. I mean, the easiest way to go quicker is just add a bit more risk, which we can do. But the good thing is our car there's not a scratch on it. Haven't had any contact. It feels fantastic. It's quick. It's just we need some green running to be able to use the speed in our car.
Up and down the pit lane, it's pretty uniform. All the drivers' teams just want some green flag.
Shay, they're only 2 laps off the lead. There's plenty of time for them to get back into the money. Well, we're still under safety car, the Mercedes-Benz safety car here at the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour. Yesterday, we had a little bit of fun. We sent Mark Beretta on a different kind of pit lane mission. It was into the passenger seat of a car, and this is what happened.
All right, man, have fun. Righto. Okay, heading out of the pits, Dean Canto, legendary Australian driver. And up Mountain Straight, you know, we're just getting warmed up, I know that, but I'm pushing my ribs into the back of the seat as we speak. This is unbelievable. The first thing that strikes you about this Mount Panorama circuit is 200 kilometres an hour. My stomach just went through my throat. We're braking time. Okay, now we're coming into turn 2. This is where all the action, where the surface was during the 1000 race. Up onto the strip. That's good. All right, now through the cutting. This is unreal speed, Dino. No, you keep your eyes on the track. Oh, that's good.
That was 130.
130, and in through the cutting, big lean left. Enormous forces pushing it backwards and forwards, and over the other way now. Now we're coming up towards Reed Park. This is an incredible circuit. How you get vision as a driver is amazing, because at no time can you see more than 50 metres in front of you. Now up across towards McPhillamy, and we are flying. We have bare contact with the road. 160 kilometres an hour to McPhillamy. I'd say hello, but I haven't got time. Hello, everyone. Unbelievable. 7 News skyline. The view is incredible, but you can't look because we're on the descent through the S's to the Dipper. It is unbelievable. There is no track here. I swear, it's barely wide enough for one car. Oh, boy. Okay, now we're getting set. Big breaths, because we're about to hit down on a Forest Elbow and onto Conrod Straight. Now this is where Dino really lets it loose. This is unbelievable. Oh, just off the wall. Unbelievable. And now we go. We go like that, clappers as hard as we can. Just relax. Okay, yeah, okay. Deep breath. Thanks, Dean. Unreal. Okay, I'm going to catch up a little bit. 240 kilometres an hour, and we are almost airborne. I got to say, the Mercedes-Benz CLS 63 does this beautifully. And now we head in towards the chase. Brakes on, 50 metres now into the left-hander, up on the ripple strip, across to the other strip, past all my friends at the ridges. Hi, everyone. Can't talk now. Up on the ripple strip on the other side, and down into pit lane once again. Unbelievable lap. I've done a lot of things in a car, but that was really, really something else.
I'm dying to know, Barrett, when you say you've done a lot of things in a car, what that might possibly have been. We'll pick that up in a second, because as you can see at the 7 News skyline, we've had an incident between the TT RS and one of the Ferraris there. We had a big shunt here about this time in the race last year.
That looks to me like the Pirelli-sponsored Trofeo Motorsport car that is up there.
So we've got Mark Beretta in pit lane. Barrett, we'll pick up what's going on at the top of the track in a second. Barrett, how was that experience with Dean Canto? You looked like you just kept your lunch down, mate.
You know, it was really funny, because I thought I was a pretty cool customer, but no, not good at all. Unbelievable experience. And look, TV just doesn't do the track justice, as you guys know. It is so narrow at the top. The elevation is much more than you ever imagined. And the undulation in the track is incredible too. It's a fantastic experience. I reckon anyone, if you ever get the chance, it is, if you love motorsport, it's probably one of the greatest things you'll ever see. But it was a bit hard to watch it here in the media centre with all my colleagues watching on as well.
Yeah, very good. And
I want to see yours next, John.
As you can see, we're still under yellow because of that incident that has happened under the yellow flag with the Audi and the Ferrari. That means we'll take a short break, but you won't miss any green flag racing from Bathurst and Mount Panorama. It's the Liqui Moly 2015 Bathurst 12 Hours. Well, on the top of the mountain, just on the 7 News skyline area, the cleanup continues after what is, I'm afraid, an avoidable incident. Very, very bizarre. The Ferrari there that has been recovered was hit from behind at speed by the Audi. Now, you might not think a production class Audi would catch up with a Ferrari, and in racing conditions you'd be right, but we were under safety car when this happened. So that, I'm afraid, Crailsey, is a bit of a no-no.
It's a massive shame. While we're under safety car, we'll take this opportunity to introduce you to some of the international names that have joined us this weekend for the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 Hour.
think the Australian audience would know me best for driving Porsches around the world, and came to Bathurst last year for the first time.
People know me normally from racing in Europe. I won the total 24 hours of Spa. I won the Blanc Endurance Series in 2013.
Biggest race ever won, it's 12 hours of Sebring, Le Mans 24 hours, and Spa 24 hours. So for sure, for me being here in Bathurst, as a 12-hour race, it's a race I would like to win for sure.
I don't think people know me from racing because I'm not really has a lot of history as a race car driver. But I have broken the speed of sound in 2012 with a project called Red Bull Stratos. Right after my jump, Audi Driving Experience called me, asking me if I'm interested in competing at the 24-hour race of Nürburgring in Germany. And I said yes, and did a lot of preparation, and then finally I was ready to do a race at the 24-hour of Nürburgring.
For any driver, whenever someone says, would you like to come and do Bathurst, the grin on your face is massive.
I knew Bathurst as an iconic racetrack. The speed, the ambiance, everything, it lived up to the hype and then some.
Bathurst have opened up, this 12-hour race, and each year it's just getting more and more stature overseas. So if you look at the field, it's a very, very strong field of GT3 cars.
There is risk there, but at the same time, we want to, at least on the top 5, fighting for the podium, and if it's possible, for the win.
Both cars are maybe in the top 5 or top 3 at the end.
We want to race for the win, obviously, but be there for the last couple hours where we can just go flat out and try to compete for at least a podium.
There's some of the best names in world motorsport. They're right here at Mount Panorama, and they're contesting the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour, and it's just awesome to have them here. Still under safety car, a lengthy clean-up at the top of the mountain. We don't think we're too far away from racing, so we'll squeeze another break in before we go back to green. You're live from the mountain on 7, and it's the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour.
Well, the cleanup is completed, and we're packing the cars up behind the Mercedes-Benz AMG CLS 63. Pace car, safety car is out there again, and finally we've got rid of the debris at the top of the mountain. And any second now, gentlemen, we're going to go back racing with... Well, we're not quite at halfway yet. 6.5 hours to go, 5.5 hours down, and we've yet to see anybody make a meaningful break in terms of at the front of the field or a change of tactics. There's still plenty of cars in this Crailsea and plenty of cars on the lead lap.
There are. What the pit stop shuffle has done in this lengthy safety car has dropped the Nissan from the lead to 8th place. Katsumasa Chiyo is behind the wheel, the young Japanese driver.
Fast.
He was quite amusing in the press conference yesterday. He crashed at the end of qualifying after setting that car's fastest time and was very, very humble and very apologetic about it. He is an extremely fast racing car driver and will get back to the front. What it's done has elevated car 15 back to the race lead. Now that is the Phoenix Racing Works-backed Audi R8 LMS that led a bulk of the early stage of this race with Marcus Winkelhock. Marco Mappelli is behind the wheel. Second at the moment now is Alex McDowell in the Aston Martin. And third, the sister Phoenix racing car is Christopher Hasse. That's the Michelin running order. Mappelli, McDowell, Hasse, 1, 2, 3. Jack LeBrock for Erebus, fourth, his first stint in that car. Stephen Wyatt in the number 77 Ferrari, waving the Italian flag today and going nicely. Stephen Kane for Bentley in sixth, and Graham Smythe in the New Zealand entered Ferrari 7th. Katsumasa Chiyo in 8th place in the GTR, but they did stop under this safety car. Stephen Richards is 9th in the M Motorsport Lamborghini Gallardo, and Chris Pither rounding out the top 10 in the Ice Brake Racing Porsche. Great to see them popping into the 10.
The Pirelli class updates, well, obviously Mappelli and Stephen Wyatt in the Darrell Lee overall category, they're leading their particular parts of the race. Look, Yulden behind the wheel of the Century Batteries 993 GT Cup Class B car is in the lead. Chris Porrett back in an Aston Martin in the Ridges 76 C class leader. Eric Linton for the BMW 1 Series Coupe in the GWS Personnel Class D. And Jake Camilleri, as it seems it has been for such a long time now, the Mark Mazda 3 V8 in the Recaro Invitational Class. They've been swapping and changing with their teammates in the same car with a different body, the 93 and the Ford Focus body. Now, race control have been very hot, Crailsey, about people closing up these gaps, and this is looking pretty good as Moly has the control of the field. Look, there's the BMW in between some of the faster cars there, and the problem here for the guys behind the leader is you cannot overtake, even if the green flag has waved as it has now, you cannot overtake or even overlap the cars in front until you get to the line. Look at the backup coming underneath the bridge there, and there's all kinds of strife in the background as people almost drive into the back of the train as they come through, and finally the right pedal goes down for the leader and Moly gets away, and this is great stuff coming through. Alex McDowell in the Aston Martin in second place. The green, white and black car goes through Hell Corner, and he's got a couple of lap cars between himself and the lead.
So look for the white, green and black Aston Martin. That's the car second in the motor race. Marco Moly leads it with a big kangaroo up the side of the works-backed Audi R8, and in the mix there is the black and white striped SLS. That's the car in third place. The Erebus Motorsport entered. Mercedes-Benz up the inside goes McDowell. Just working through Hussa, that is, in the second. The number 16 entered Phoenix racing car, getting past.
That's seventh position, by the way, there, that car. It's dropping down through the field.
Lapped cars, slow cars, doing a good job getting out of the way there. You can't help it when they're all queued up behind the leader. The safety car picks up the leader. After that, it's a free-for-all, and it's up to the cars behind to work their way through, and it works to the benefit of the leader, as it should. You've worked hard to get yourself to the lead. You should get some advantage. 4 times today, car 15 has led the race by a margin that had it absolutely nullified by a safety car.
It's deja vu with the very best sort here, isn't it, really? Because from the start of this race, the 15 car went off into the distance in the darkness around Mount Panorama. Now Marco Moly gets his opportunity to do what Marcus Winkelhock did at the start of the race. He's doing that right now and going away a little from Alec McDowell, but he's not getting too far ahead. That gap has actually come down since we went back to green. 4 seconds under the yellow, 2 seconds now we're at green, and the Aston Martin driver has actually got target acquired.
So we're looking at position. Yeah, battle for third, and it's side by side down Conrad Straight. So Hussa is in third. They've had some timing issues on that car. Lebrock with 2 wheels off Conrad Straight. Straight line performance from the SLS, and they'll go side by side at 280 through the chase, and Lebrock gets it done and goes to P3. Good move. The young Victorian, former Aussie Formula Ford champion, works his way back up to P3.
That was all about horsepower in the Mercedes-Benz. Needs to clear the similar car ahead, which is not a battle for position. The 7 car a couple of laps down at the moment. It closes the door on the Audi. Now, whether that was deliberately helping another Benz driver, I don't know, but it has been an advantage for Lebrock, who consolidates his 3rd position and pulls a couple of seconds on Christopher Haase, who had been holding down that position. Steve Wyatt in the 77 Ferrari in 5th position. Stephen Kane in the best of the Bentleys in 6th. And it's all on again here, Crailsey, as we turn up the heat on and off the track at Mount Panorama.
Marco Moly leads the race. 207.4 was his first flying lap after the safety car. That car has the fastest lap of the race. It's a GT lap record here at Mount Panorama. He did it, it seems, an age ago on lap 29 with a 203.30. Alex McDowell second, the margin 2.9. Jack Lebrock third, 10 seconds off the lead. Hussa next, then Wyatt, Kane, Smythe, Chio, Richards and Pither rounding out the top 10. 6 hours and 20 to go in the 12 hour. And we say hello and welcome to our South Australian viewers who join our coverage today. It's a great motor race. It's underway. We're back under green after lots of yellow so far. Audi leads the way with Marco Moly behind the wheel.
More than one race though, Crailsey, and down in the Recaro Invitational class, the leader is going to get a drive-through penalty. This is the 91 Mazda-bodied Mark Australia V8, and they've attracted the officials' notice, and there's going to be a drive-through penalty, a black flag being held over the start-finish line just to our right, so they will give up a bit of track time. Meanwhile, 97, Alex McDowell in second place at the moment, needs to dispose of this Porsche It's sort of stealthed its way up to 10th position for Chris Pither. But now he's going to lose a lap here to the second place car. He's already had the leader go through. Richard Creel alongside me, John Hindhaugh, and Graham Goodwin of dailysportscar.com joining us as well for his first run at the mountain and enjoying every minute of it. I know young Alex McDowell then in the Aston Martin.
That's the sister car, actually.
Sister
JH, that's the 99.
Oh, my apologies. That's the one that's had all the problems earlier on. I wasn't expecting to see that doing such great speed.
28th place with the impressive young Kiwi, John O'Venta, behind the wheel. So they're quite a way down the order after some massive dramas all the way throughout the weekend.
But making their way back up the order as others hit their own troubles. This fantastic-looking coffee-coloured Porsche, the green, black and white Craft Bamboo Aston Martin, flat 6, plays V12. Yes. It's a symphony on the mountain, isn't it?
Still damage on that 99 car, guys, as well, on the right rear. If you watch it as it's going away, just a little bit of bodywork flattening, but compared to what it looked like a couple of days ago, they've done a cracking job. Yeah,
that car was heavily involved in a crash on Friday with the pre-race favourites, it has to be said. Maranello Motorsport, defending champions. At the elbow, Tony D'Alberto was driving the Ferrari. Jean-Marc Merlin was driving the 99 car. They collided. It was a case of one car going slow, the other one not so much. Unfortunately, it destroyed the Ferrari. They withdrew from the race yesterday. Tony D'Alberto hospitalised briefly, but he's fine and okay and back home in Melbourne with his family. And I'm sure watching this race very closely. And we say hello to TD. He's a great young driver and was so looking forward to that squad. So too were the other drivers. Mika Salo, who won last year, and Ben Collins, the artist formerly known as The Stig, was part of that driver lineup. Unfortunately, didn't get a start in his Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour debut.
Mapelli then with 3.6 seconds in this Phoenix Audi at the head of the field. Ah, the sound of a screaming V10. It works for me, that it really does. Alex McDowell then still trying to clear the traffic, and has he got a bit of clear air now? We'll see. His lap times have picked up a wee bit, and he's took a bit of time the last couple of laps away, and now, of course, it's problem time for the leader, because he starts, once we've gone green flag racing, he gets a lap and a half, maybe 2 laps, before he starts hitting the back of the field again. He's leading the Darrell Lee overall category. In the pro part of the A class for GT3 cars, basically, you're classed as a pro car if you have 2 or more seeded drivers. If you have 1 or fewer, you're in the AM class. Simple as that.
And by seeded, a loose definition means if a professional race car drivers are classed as seeded. Let's go down to the lane. Here's Mark Beretta.
Yeah, the number 27 Ferrari has just pulled into the garage. They had a punctured right rear. They fixed that, got the car quickly back out. They're back in the race.
The aviators go very well with your white race suit there, Barretts. I like it.
Thank you very much. Not much else does, really, but thanks.
That's dropped the 27 car, though, out of 6th position, so tumbled a little bit further down the order. Back now behind the Nissan that led the race until that stopped just a little while ago from Florian Strauss. Katsumasa Chao back in the car now, the 35 car down in 7th position. That's a pretty car, isn't it? The pink, purple, black, Donut King sponsored Lotus Exige Class C car, ahead of one of the B-Class Porsches there.
GT4 class entry and involved in a fight with the grey Aston Martin behind it. That is first and second in the GT4 category. So they are fighting amongst themselves for the class lead. GT4 cars, Graham, they're a step below GT3. It's reasonably self-explanatory.
Much closer to a production class. What you basically have got there is a little bit of performance, performance parts on the car and some safety systems on there too, John.
You are now allowed paddle shift on the GT4 cars, but you don't have ABS and traction control as you do on the GT3 cars. And these are very difficult cars to drive, very powerful, upwards of 350 horsepower. And this Aston Martin is closing in, and this is it. It is on for the lead in the category.
It is at the moment, John, but it's the Lotus that actually started at the green flag running here second. So the Lotus has gone by the Aston Martin. Chris Porritt, though, doesn't want any of that. He wants that lead back. So it's V8 Aston Martin against a 4-cylinder, lovely little light car, the Lotus Exige. And it's going to be interesting to see how these cars handle the up the mountain, across the mountain, then down back again.
driven a GT4 Aston Martin, not in competition, mind you. It's a very well-balanced machine. Oh, Lambo issues. We saw them spinning at the same point in the Michelin Chase in the highlights
48.
package. And this is the 8th position car with Steve Richards at the wheel. Stephen Richards in problems then, Crailsey.
8th place car, the Interloy car, Craig Baird and Justin McMillan behind.
Over the top.
Trying to pull it out the way. Try and limp it back, but he's got, well, just under 6 kilometres to do that. He's just at the top of Mountain Straight on the run up to turn 2. And Richo has pulled that car off to the side of the road. So it's a Lamborghini Gallardo GT3, one of 2 in the field. And they were running 8th and just sneaking up on it. They dragged themselves back a lap in this race.
Yes,
Craig Baird's stint in this car was very, very impressive, and they did take a lot of Justin McMillan's driving time off in this car early on in the motor race, but technical issues, they're pulled to the side.
Another penalty for a Bentley driver on a restart. It's the 8th car this time, and it was JP who picked one up last time. This time it's Pete Edwards behind the wheel, and the black flag is out over the start-finish line, and the number 8 is being shown. The Bentley boys have not been endearing themselves to the race direction this weekend.
I think that's about 6 pit lane Bentleys for the...
Every one of the Bentleys has been pinged on a restart or a problem in the pit lane.
In fairness, it's part of the playbook for Bentley. Slightly caddish behaviour there.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure WO would approve. So here's that Porsche again, and look at the different strengths and weaknesses of the cars as they go through different parts of the circuit. The Porsche, of course, the only properly rear-engined car in the top class. Engine sitting way back over the rear wheels as it has been for over 50 years. The new GT3 car coming next year, so Pat Long telling Barrett's early on, this is a relatively old design, going back 5 or 6 years now. Now, like, this car isn't 5 or 6 years old. It's been built up on a new shell, of course. It was one of the development cars at Weissach, which is Porsche's motorsport facilities in Germany. And somehow, Sergio David Calvert-Jones managed to prize it out of Porsche's hands, get it across to the west coast of America, get it prepped and get it in the race.
Barretts is in pit lane as we look at the Nissan, Mark.
Yeah, guys, bit of a change coming up for the lead car, the Audi number 15, Lawrence Van Tours, the man who set that blistering pole position lap yesterday, is about to jump into the car. So there will be a change of driver and a quick pit stop for the number 15 Audi. Lawrence Van Tours about to jump in.
Thanks, Barretti. Electrified Mount Panorama yesterday. Fastest ever lap officially recorded here. It's not a lap record. You have to do that in a race to claim an outright lap record. We've seen a GT lap record already today, the 2:03.3, but a 2:02.5 was 6/10 quicker than anybody else. And remarkable stuff. Talking about the Porsche, to finish up on that, I often get a lot of people saying, how do they make that car work with the engine hanging out over the rear axle? Isn't it like having the horse pushing the cart? And I say, well, they make an Audi R8 with a mid-mount work, and that's like having the horse in the cart. It works.
It's called engineering, and Porsche will tell you they're an engineering company first and a car company second. That hasn't changed from the very, very earliest days of Dr. Ferry Porsche and how they've gone motor racing. In fact, they only went motor racing because they couldn't afford to advertise their cars.
There's Lawrence Van Tours suited, booted and ready to go. It won't be this lap around because through comes Malcolm Appelli to start the next lap for that car. That will be lap 132 complete now for the number 15 car. But Lars Van Tours, one of the fastest GT racing drivers on the planet, and that car is going to go even more rapidly in just a few moments' time. Should just correct myself, by the way, as they're trying to get by that GT4 lead battle in the number 15. It's not a four-cylinder engine in that car. It's a charged 6-cylinder engine, actually out of the Toyota Camry.
Shay Adam in pit lane.
Dean Canto, you're with Erebus Motorsports. They know how to win here. They've done it before in the past. And earlier when I was talking to Betty, she said, no, we're just looking to put on a good show. But now you're sitting in a different position. What's going through your head?
Look, I mean, we always were confident that we were going to be in a challenging position for the race. And, you know, qualifying didn't go our way. We started P7, but we've been fighting for the lead for the rest of the race. You know, we're sitting P3 at the moment. Jack and Richard are doing a great job. You know, I'm a little bit more experienced around here. I think I've done 20 Bathurst, so I know the track inside and out. Still learning the car as we go, but you know, during the race then I actually went quicker than I had in practice and qualifying. So getting comfortable with the car now, and the guys are doing a great job with the pit stops. We're just managing the brakes and the rotors now, and looking after the car basically till the end.
Now, you did have a new experience for the Bathurst 12 Hours, getting to drive at night when it was dark in the morning. What was going through your head when you were starting and couldn't see the track?
Richard managed to start the car, so I got to watch from here. So I don't envy him. It was quite dark. I've never driven that late that early, sorry, in the dark. But he said it was actually all right with the lights on, and the cars in front he could see quite well. But I hopped in the second stint. I did a double stint, and we'll just plan it out from here and see who finishes.
And the track was slippy earlier in the week. Has that gone away? Has the grip level come up?
Yeah, the track's definitely fast now for the temperature that it is out there and the times that the cars are doing. The level of the track grip has certainly come up, but I'm sure you'll see the times tumble when the track cools off later on in the race.
Erebus is always a team to watch for the win.
And sure, you better get ready for some action. I think we might see one or two people taking a pit stop. It's fallen nicely because the Mercedes-Benz AMG safety car is about to roll, and into the pit lane is in. He's in the pit lane now. The leader is in the pit lane, and he gets out before the safety car comes out. This is a master stroke by Phoenix. Everyone else is going to have to follow them in, and in comes McDowell in second place as well.
At the same time, John, and it actually closed right up on that lap just before the two cars pitted. It's going to be Laurens Vanteur in the car. Are we going to see a driver change for the Aston Martin too? We can't quite see it from here. We've not yet seen Stefan Mucker in the number 97 car. Let's wait and see how that one goes.
Jack LeBrock went through in the 36 Mercedes, so he will lead the motor race ahead of Chris Hazer and Steve Wyatt, provided they don't come in as they come round this time.
Yeah, well, the Erebus car only stopped a lap and a bit to go. Let's go down to the Phoenix pits, Brett.
Guys, just a slightly drawn-out driver change here at the moment. They're just getting Laurens Vanteur in the car, connecting his cables, getting his water bottle, everything wired up, and now the fuel has been done and cleared, and now they can move on. They're getting new, fresh rubber on the rear and now on the front, so the whole car will have fresh rubber. Laurens Vanteur is the man who we know flies around Mount Panorama. Fastest lap recorded in the history of the race. Yesterday in the second car, 16 has pulled in for the Audi team as well. So it's all happening in their garage at the moment. They're going to have to fuel and retread that as well.
Thanks, Brett. And we've just seen the 97 Aston Martin drive past us. Looked like it was covering foam. So it's maybe a brief fuel spill there. This is inside the JBS Racing Lamborghini. Roger Largo getting out. Steve Owen getting in. Man that's been here more times than I can remember, and plenty of success too in the 1000k race. Very, very good co-driver. That car scored in 16th, but there's been clearly a fuel spill of some kind down at the Craft Bamboo pits, and the 97 car back out. That's going to be very close too between the Phoenix Racing entry, who changed drivers, and at this stage it doesn't look like they've taken Alex McDowell out of the Aston Martin. They remain P2.
Well, that was a very, very quick and impressive call from Phoenix. They were in the window, and Laurens Vanteur has been put in under yellow. That is going to save them a wee bit of time. How's that going to play out to the guys behind? They have got their pit stop, what is it now? Their fourth pit stop done under yellow flag conditions rather than green.
Just goes to show, though, guys, doesn't it? There's even under a safety car, there's drama, because it is a team sport, a GT racing. It is about whether or not the crews can turn the cars around safely and quickly, and drama's there for a couple of the leading teams. Remains to be seen exactly what happened down at Craft Bamboo. I suspect you're absolutely right, that was fuel spill. We didn't see any evidence whatsoever of anything more dramatic than that.
Well, it's just to our right, and there wasn't even a puff of smoke, really. No. It may have just been precautionary.
The Damek Pem team going to work on the number 75 car. Steve McLaughlin, the owner of this outfit, Dean Cootsmeady's shown as in the car, and he's been very, very good. James Winslow, the speedy British driver, double Australian Drivers' Champion in Australian F3 in that car as well. Their sister car has been quiet today, the 74. Greg Crick only 18th at the moment and 3 laps behind.
We've done a bit of digging to find out about the Bentley infringement. It is about overlap on the restart before the control line. They've all been pinged for it. There was a message sent out during the race to remind drivers that you weren't allowed to do this from race control. I mean, they're playing the game at race control. If people don't want to listen, you're going to get pinged for it.
Just the bonnet up on the back of the JBS Lamborghini. The wheels are sort of fell off the wagon here. They were so fast throughout practice and qualifying, and were good in the early stint with David Russell and Steve Owen behind the car, but they've just dropped off the pace. They're 2 laps behind. This is a lengthy stint. You saw Aaron Kelly, very experienced technical guru, and Wayne Park, who prepares this car, former racer and quite successfully too, just with their heads under the bonnet there of the Lamborghini. But that returns, and you may as well do work like that under a safety car.
Yeah. Listen. We like that. Quick word, by the way, for the volunteer marshals, 500 of them around the circuit, and our safety truck crews who have been stretched to the limit already in the first 5 hours and 55 minutes or so. We've got a number of flatbeds around the circuits who keep taking out, getting out there and getting the guys picked up. One of them has got its own Twitter feed as well, which is very, very entertaining. Trackside tow truck, and the rest of the guys, thank you for your hard work here at the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 hours for 2015. Right, Phoenix Racing have been right up at the sharp end all day, and Barrett's is down at their pit. Go, Mark.
John, fair to say they've been faultless so far today, and Italian Marco Mappelli is with me straight out of the lead car. Marco, great stint. There's been a lot of patting you on the back and congratulating that drive by you. Well done.
Yeah, it was cool. I really have to say thanks to the team and Audi, because the car works perfectly, and I just have to push and get confidence with the track, which is the first time for me. So thanks to the team, and let's continue like this.
Marco, any concerns about the car? Anything you need to keep an eye on as the endurance race unfolds?
Yeah, of course, we need to keep an eye on brakes, because once the temperature is coming up and the brakes, it's hard to get cool also if the long straight. So we need to get used to, you need to get, soft on the brake. We need to go soft, yeah.
Now, we've seen you in Australia before driving Formula 3, but this is your first time around this mountain. What did you think?
Well, they say I'm a virgin, but for sure it's hard. Harder than the Nordschleife as well, because I don't know, and the traffic here is unbelievable, and the world are so close. So definitely one of the hardest tracks I ever drove.
Now, you drive a lot of these races around the world. Give me your impression of the Bathurst 12-hour race. What are your thoughts on this race?
Top 3, of course, definitely.
That's a big wrap.
Definitely.
I will gladly take that. You need to rest and recover, get some fluids into you. We'll see you back out there later, Marco. Well done.
Thanks.
Harder than the Nürburgring Nordschleife from a man who knows that race very, very well indeed. High praise for the mountain, getting its place in world motorsport with this GT3 extravaganza. Live on 7, it's the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 hours for 2015. Motorsport is live and free on 7, and this is one of Australia's best. The up-and-coming event that takes Bathurst to the world. The global GT3 Super Final, if you will. It's like the Grand Final, the Super Bowl, the FA Cup, all rolled into one for GT3. And it's here at Mount Panorama, and you're seeing it live on Channel 7. John Hindhaugh, Richard Krill, and Graham Goodwin. Sadly, not watching racing at the moment, gents, but this is just bubbling. We've gone over half distance now, Krillsy, and cars are not getting used up because of the safety car periods behind the Mercedes-Benz CLS AMG 63. That means there's a lot of racing left to go. And I still wonder where the tactics will go. Maybe we'll get something thrown on that, some light thrown on that from down at Erebus. And Australia's first lady of motorsport is Betty Clemengo with our Shea Adam.
Betty, I feel like I'm amongst royalty. You elected to be here with us in Bathurst, and we can't thank you enough for that. But Betty, the race so far, it's going pretty well. Fingers crossed.
It's going very well. Look, it's 11 hours of qualifying, 1 hour of racing. We're only halfway through, anything can happen. So we have a policy, we take it easy, we do what we have to do, and then the last hour or so, we let it fly.
What was behind your decision to be here? Would you miss this for anything in the world?
No way, no way. That's why I drove down to Sydney and back again, but this was my baby. This race is my, I look forward to it every year, and it's something that it's in my blood now, and there's no way I would have missed it.
And are you proud of these boys that you hand-selected? They're doing such a fabulous job.
You know, I honestly, at the beginning of the weekend, it was like, oh, Betty, what have you done? You know, you haven't gone with the usual, you know, suspects. You've taken a handful of kids mainly and Dean, and now I just couldn't be... I got goose pimples, you know. It's I'm so proud of these boys. They've come to the fore and they're saying, Betty, look at us, look what we can do for you. And that is exactly what we're about.
It is, and it's a great program that you've established. You said before the race started you just wanted to put on a good show. They've done that so far for you. And what do you want next?
What everyone wants, but I've got a thing about jinxing. Look, I'm exactly in the same place. If there's a podium in the future, then it's there. If it's not, I've had a great time, and the boys have done so well.
We're back to green. Let's see what they can do.
Well, leading at the moment with Jack LeBrock and Steve Wyatt right up the... no, that's the 99 car again, right up the tailpipes. But I did see one of the Bentleys just in the near distance there. So LeBrock, Wyatt, Kane, Chayo, Vantour as they went across the line, and another great restart for Erebus with lap cars in between them, and it was the Bentley of the 11 car that comes through, and that's Andy Soucek in 13th position. So again, Erebus have got a great restart with most of their near competitors, Krilsey, behind lap traffic.
So this isn't quite the battle for the lead. That is the leader, the black Mercedes-Benz that leads the way. But behind them is the 99 car, which is several laps down. In fact, 10 laps off the lead, with Jonathan Venter behind the wheel. But it is the sister car to that Aston Martin that continues to apply the pressure. 97 entry, Stefan Mucker now behind the wheel. Pitted recently, and I believe, Graham, you've got some strategy news on the Aston Martin crew.
Yeah, you may have actually spotted there was foam all over the side and the front rear of the 97 Aston Martin after that latest pit stop that put Stefan Mucker, Aston Martin factory driver, aboard that car. Came in from second position. Team had a slight fuel spillage. It was heading down towards a hot exhaust, so quite correctly the fire marshal did spray the foam on the car. It wasn't a squeegee merchant and pit out.
Doesn't need to be pretty, just needs to be fast. And that car is still fast and might go quicker than it ever has with the very fast and very experienced German behind the wheel. We all got excited when Mucker got behind the wheel in qualifying yesterday. It paid off too. He hauled it up the grid. Great stuff. We're looking forward to seeing what the 97 car can do. Jack LeBrock leads the race. The margin is officially 3.7 seconds over Steve Wyatt, who is now behind the wheel of the number 77 AF Corsa Ferrari. The most recent safety car was the first time that car has not stopped under safety car to fill up with fuel. Every other safety car before it, they've pitted and they have put juice in that car, and that's shown the number of pit stops. The leader has stopped 4 times, but Steve Wyatt's team, the AF Corsa team, have stopped 7 times, and yet on the racetrack they're only split by 9.2 seconds.
Yeah, and that, you've got to make that decision, haven't you? And then you stick with your decision and make it work for you. What's good here that everyone is watching everyone else. I do get the sense of, oh, is he going to jump? Should we jump? Sometimes you've got to be careful doing that, because you can get drawn into a bit of strategy you don't need. The 63 is the Erebus, second Erebus car. 2 different liveries for those Mercedes-Benz. There's a black one and a white one. And the 63 at the moment sitting down the field in 8th position for young Morecambe.
Well, hang on a minute. I've just noticed something. We've ticked over the halfway mark.
I did mention that.
Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 out. Oh, it must have been in a different space. Sorry, John. 5 hours and 52 to go in the race. It's a mental barrier, isn't it? Clearly for me. 6 hours and 7 minutes gone as we approach midday local time.
It's sort of coming across the top of the mountain. In a couple of 3 hours, we've been heading around down the other side of the Comrade straight of this race. But at the moment, it is the Erebus car, one of the very best Australian teams, with one of the very best Australian drivers in GT racing, Jack LeBrock, making good his escape. Nearly 10 seconds to the good. He's got that clear air in front of him, and he's using it to his best advantage. But behind him, Steve Wyatt's got Stephen Kane all over the back of the number 77 Ferrari, the AF Corsa car with the kangaroo logos on the front and the side. Stephen Kane in the number 10 Bentley Continental. The first time, I think, since the 40s since we've seen a Bentley racing here on the mountain.
Correct. And this is for position, these two, line astern, the red Ferrari. Just up the road, you can see we're on board with Kane. on the limiter, on the hard cut as they go through the kink. So they've got that car geared perfectly to get to absolute VMAX in the rev range as they come down to the braking zone at the chase, and it's busy here. And that could be a vicious rumour car in front. In fact, I'm not sure if that's the AF Corse Regtriol. No, the AF Corse car, just a few cars in front. So as it leads this train of cars through, 1.2 seconds, second to third at the moment. But this car running in third needs to work its way through some lap traffic. Great onboard pictures.
Stephen Kane, one of the best at picking his way through from his single-seater days. He's got to have a bit of patience here. I like this hire for Bentley. I think they did a great job, Stephen. One of the underrated drivers in Europe and often hasn't been in the right place at the right time to get the right shout. And behind him now, he's in trouble because this Nissan that is gently coming up behind him is for position. So third and fourth, the 10 and the 35 car. Natsumi Chayo behind the wheel, and now this will be the hurry up for Stephen Kane. So you'll see he'll change a little bit, he'll start moving out into the mirrors of the Ferrari ahead of him, saying, come on, blue flags here, I'm getting caught by somebody for position, your lap's down. Need to go one way or the other and decide which way you're going to let me through. It's difficult to do it at this part of the racetrack, and I wonder if Chayo will just be able to have a look and make a little bit of advantage as they come down through the S's here. It's, what, 16, 20, 24 wheels of GT4 action. This is marvellous stuff. This tied together with very short bungee straps as they head down the mountain.
Welcome to our Queensland viewers who join us in the midst of an amazing battle for the minor spot on the podium in the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour. You've joined us at the best possible time. A massive freight train, a bottleneck of cars through the elbow, and positions are changing left, right and centre. The AF Corse Ferrari has just been passed. The Bentley got through, but now Katsumasa Chayo in the Nissan has gone past, so the Nissan charging its way up to third place. This is a great fight for the minor spot on the podium with 6 hours and 10 minutes into the Liqui Moly 12-hour.
But look how cool Stephen Kane is. Right foot braking, saving fuel by doing that. No overlap on throttle and brake. And he's very cool as up ahead. That's now second position, is it, as they've gone through?
So Wyatt lost out in that exchange, and he wasn't lapping as quick as everyone, and he was the cork in the bottle. He popped and everyone blasted through. So it was at the elbow, we saw it on board, just ran wide and a bunch of cars went through. So Wyatt's gone back to P5 in the 77 Ferrari. Chayo's gone to second place and still trying to work his way through the vicious rumour number 48 car side by side through Griffin's Bend. So Kane to third, Stefan Mucker fourth in the Aston Martin and coming quickly too.
Kenny's right with the Nissan again there because of the very sensible decision by Chayo-san to stay out of the side of the Ferrari ahead of him. Now this is GT3 driving and racing at its best.
And this is the Nissan closing in on Andrea Montemini, former Formula 1 driver, of course. Ahead of them is the second of the Erebus cars. This is the 8th place car in the hands of Nathan Morecambe. And you can see there from the rear camera, Katie is coming. But he didn't have the straight line speed that the Nissan had down the Conmont straight, John.
No, and as they head down the S's through the dipper and down towards the Falcon Tyres elbow, can he get right up underneath the Nissan and perhaps use some of this lapped traffic to his advantage? Gets good drive out of the Falcon Tyres elbow. This is the view back from the Nissan. Now, is that Bentley going to get larger or smaller? It's getting smaller. The Nissan's pulling away. He's got the tow from the Ferrari. Needs to get inside here as they go down towards the King and then the Michelin Chase. The Bentley has dropped, but the Ferrari has not made it easy at all for the car coming through. Wow, that Ferrari's quick in a straight line. It's low, it's slippery, and it's quick. And here comes the Bentley back for position. That's for second place.
And the Ferrari was getting a tow as well from the 63 Mercedes. So Montermini down in 9th place at the moment in the 49 car. Chayo needs to be careful here. We've seen already today cars that are a lap down squabbling with cars that aren't even in their battle, that don't need to do so. You need to be careful when you're dicing with cars that are on a different lap.
And by the way, Jack LeBrock's good. Thanks very much, fellas. You battle amongst yourself. I'm 24 seconds up the field.
Massive margin.
Should mention, maybe Montemini should be actually checking out this battle, but he's in a battle position as well, because the car directly in front of him, the 63 car, is one position ahead. It's 8th and 9th position. Finally, the Nissan gets by the 49 Ferrari and puts another lap on the 49, and now has got to deal with Nathan Morecambe, the 8th position Erebus Mercedes.
Katsumasa Chayo, very, very sensible there. It must be frustrating when you know that the leader's getting away and you've got someone right on your rear spoiler trying to get by, but exactly the right mental attitude taken there by the Nissan driver in the GTR. You've got to just keep your position and wait for the right time to make a clean pass. Mark Beretta is down in the pit lane for us here on 7.
Hey guys, it's great to see some of the world's greatest drivers here, but it's great to see some of our Aussie legends and champions here as well. Driver and team owner Jono Webb is here having a look around. Jono, what do you love about this race?
Oh, I think any race at Bathurst is always exciting, but you know, obviously walking it's a very different flavour to what we used to. There's no Holdens, there's no Fords. We're looking at Bentleys, Lamborghinis, McLarens, and you know, some really cool exotic cars.
Now, I know you well enough to know your passion for driving. I know how much you want to drive the mountain. Would you do this?
Oh, every day. Yeah, I think if the right opportunity came in the right car where we can come out here and try and win the race, yeah, I'd be here in a heartbeat.
Excellent. We look forward to that, mate. Enjoy the day here. Enjoy the Bathurst 12 hour.
Thank you.
Well, that is just a marvellous battle that we're watching for 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th position. We've still got 5 hours and 45 minutes of this. We are going to take a short break from the action on the mountain just to allow the commentators to cool down. It's 2015's big season opener here in Oz, and it's live and free on Channel 7, the Liquid Moly, 12 hours at Bathurst. Bicentennial of Bathurst as a town or city this year, and big party atmosphere here on the mountain. And we've got a problem up the cutting there. The blue wall has attracted another Mercedes-Benz, and that is
Nathan Morecambe.
Nathan Morecambe, is it? The 63 car?
We were following this before the break. The battle for 9th and 10th. He was dicing with the young Kiwi Graham Smythe in the Truss family Motorsports Ferrari, 9th and 10th on the road. Montemini had just gone through in the 49 Vicious Rumour Racing Ferrari. So they had 2 strings to their bow. Erebus Motorsport might be down to 1. One car leads the race. The other is in the fence, and the safety car is called. Mercedes-Benz safety car is on the road. 5 hours and 41 minutes remaining. The Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 hour.
That's a blow for them and their hopes in the race.
Just trying to find out what was going on down there at Erebus. That was a very, very hectic battle. They were scrapping and squabbling over the minor spots in the top 10. They traded positions a couple of times, and Morecambe was right in the midst of it. It looked like he was still coming up to speed in that stint, and we won't speculate too much until we see exactly what happened to the 63 car, but it had looked to me at least that it copped a fairly hard whack against that blue wall.
It did rather. We had 2 overlapping battles, didn't we? The battle for 8th position and the battle for 2nd position or 3rd position there. The number 99 Aston Martin just leaving the pits, and the car is just rolling down, but that to me looks like the right rear is down there, John.
Right rear has no air in it, and there's damage on the left-hand side as well. Now, was the right rear cause or effect of that incident in the pit lane? The number 9 Audi, Chris Meese, getting out of that.
Yep. Also on the pit lane, and actually just ahead of this car on the road, 14th and 15th position. That sounds pretty low down, but nearly 30 of these GT3 cars, the Class A cars in Aussie terminology here, and they're not by any means out of contention. I think we're going to see, hopefully we're going to see, the impact there. And here it comes. This is going to be Nathan Morecambe.
Arriving backwards, I'm expecting, from the right-hand side. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, he had a right rear puncture before he hit the wall, because the right rear didn't hit the wall, and that was already down. Now, had he clipped the inside before, because that's a favourite there as well, Krilsey, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Not the first person to crash there. That's a shame. That car was well positioned, and the young driving side of the Erebus squad, not that the drivers in the other car are particularly aged, but the youngsters in that car, 16-year-old Austin Cindric, as well as 22-year-old Simon Hodge, they'd all done a great job, Nathan Morecambe included, but unfortunately, the mountain bites.
Yep, the three drivers in that car, a combined age of probably less than one of us, guys. Yes, you heard it right from Krelzy. 16 years old, Austin Cindric, the driver to come in that car. Nathan Morecambe and Simon Hodge both have held the outright lap record here. Simon Hodge still holds it, both in Formula 3 cars, I believe, Krelzy.
Correct, yeah. Hodgie did his at Easter last year, amazing time, 2:02.6 in a race. We have gone quicker than that this weekend, but it was in qualifying. I don't know, if we get a sprint to the flag this afternoon, we've already seen a 2:03.3 today on lap 29 in that beautiful, cool, crisp air of a Bathurst dawn. I wonder if we might get some more fast times later on this afternoon. Expected top in the low 30s today in the Bathurst region. And at our last check, track temperature was 36 degrees, ambient 26. Very, very comfortable conditions for the crowd that are here this weekend. The Superbarn Supermarkets Porsche, one of the contenders in the Century Batteries GT3 class, exits pit lane. Brothers James and Theo Konduras, Marcus Marshall, very, very experienced Aussie race car driver, and Sam Power, who goes on a big adventure this year to race Porsche Super Cup, having raced Porsche Carrera Cup Australia here last season with great success. 21st place and second in their class. The leader is 20th, one position up the road. So it is still very much on in Class B. That battle of the Porsches could go right down to the wire.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that, isn't it? A great way to go motor racing. Those Porsche Cup class cars eligible for so many endurance races around the world, not just the Porsche classes. We've seen them all over Europe and the Middle and Far East. Oh, hello.
Does it get any more Australian than that? You're at Bathurst for a motor race, and a game of cricket has broken out.
Yeah,
marvellous.
It's absolutely Aussie, because Dad bowled the ball, he's off for a beer.
Yeah. Pit stops, cars will come into pit lane and get some service, including the third place car of Stephen Kane. So the number 10 entry last stopped on lap 101. So those guys have jumped into pit lane. While we're under safety car, we'll get some bill paying out of the way. We'll take a break from Bathurst and come back with some green flag racing.
The awful sound of a tyre unravelling and taking out the wheel arch interior on the right rear of the Erebus Mercedes-Benz. And there is the debris that we hoped wouldn't be on the racetrack. And that means we've had a huge amount of pit stop activity, and Mark Beretta can bring us up to date with some of the comings and goings.
I can bring you up to date with the temperature of the track. You can see it for yourself. It was up to 53 degrees, so it is incredibly warm. There's a 49, so sort of sitting around 50, low 50s, the track temperature. The ambient temperature out here at the moment is around 30 degrees. It is warm and getting warmer. It's amazing what the tyres are going to go through from where they started this morning. You know, obviously a morning here in Bathurst in New South Wales is quite chilly at this time of the year, so from the cool of the morning just before sunrise when we started this race through to 50-degree temperature now is quite an extreme movement. And remember, inside the car it's between 55 and 60 degrees Celsius, so the temperatures here are extreme. You can see why it's so important the drivers stay dehydrated, or stay hydrated I should say, and try and avoid dehydration, so really concentrating on that.
He's in the car, Barrett, so I imagine the race suit's probably not quite that extreme, or is it about the same?
That's why he's got the white Elvis suit on, to reflect the heat, isn't it?
Thanks to Barrett's in pit lane. This is why we're under safety car. just rolling the 63 car slowly back down. This is quicker, believe it or not, than spending the time to load it up on the back of the flatbed truck that's following down. So hopefully this means we'll be able to go back to green very, very shortly. Well, it's been an amazing day on the mountain so far. We're 6.5 hours in to the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour, and it started in a beautiful pre-dawn here on the mountain and turned into a day of, well, there's been attrition, lots of safety cars and lots of damage. This happened under safety car, remarkably, with two cars getting into each other, and they've since both been retired from the race. And dramas too for the Lamborghini Gallardo GT3 48 car. Stephen Richards is pulling off to the side of the racetrack.
11 Bentley doing a bit of rally cross, betraying the motorsport roots of M Sport. WRC winners, of course, and some great racing and some great patient picking way through traffic for Katsuma Chiyo in the Nissan. Big sideways moments for the Aston Martin number 59, and then, well, it's the place that's caught so many people out in the 63 Erebus, the youth team, if you will, just being caught out there, as many people have, and limping now back to the pits with a deranged rear end. I think there was a right rear tyre issue before that car hit the wall. Here's how it looks on the Michelin hourly update. The Darrell Lee A-Class was Jack Lebrock from Katsumasa Chiyo, then Stefan Mucker in the Aston Martin. And we continue the variety of brands with Lauren Vantour in 4th position. Guy Smith, the best of the Bentleys, in 6th. And Steve Wyatt in the first of the Ferraris in 7th. Peter Edwards just holding on to the back end of the top 10 in the Flying B Bentley in 10th position. And in the Pirelli hourly class update, to Darrell Lee, A-class leaders, Jack Lebrock and Katsumasa Chiyo. Then it's Porsche, Aston Martin, BMW M Coupe, and the Mark Focus of Adam Gowans in the Century Ridges, GWS personnel and Recaro categories. And that is how it stands with 6 hours and 31 minutes to go. We hate you missing racing action, so we'll take a break now and come back with some green flag racing. So the 63 car finally makes it back into the pit lane after its troubles, and a right rear puncture that may have been caused by a slight off the previous lap into Maguire's Murray's the last time around. Before we go back to green, let's head down to some more motorsport royalty in the pit lane. No, not you, Mark. It's the guest.
Sorry, God, I just got excited there. Yes, of course, it is David Brabham. Great to have him here, as always. Great Australian and fantastic international driver. Dave, you guys, you've teamed up with of course, John Bowe and Mr. Edwards as well, and going well, you guys. What's the feel of the Bentley? How's that been to drive?
Actually, you know, obviously the car is fairly new to the team, so we got here really not quite knowing what we were going to get, but a few little tweaks here and there, and the car actually is nice. It's nice to drive. It's comfortable. It's you know, we need to find a little bit more speed out of it, but it's early days. But you know, just it's a car that gives you confidence, which is really good.
You hang around in the top 10, which is about where you want to be.
Well, I think it's where we probably felt we were going to be. You know, there's a big competition here, as you know, and it's early days for the team. But yeah, if we can get in the top 6 or 7 at the end of the race, I think that's a great result for Flying Bee Racing.
Speaking of the competition, it has been fierce. It doesn't feel like a long 12-hour endurance race. Every time you watch the race, it feels like a sprint race.
You know what? Endurance races these days are sprint races. They really are. Yeah, so probably the last 5% you wait till the end if you can get a position to win. But it is pretty fierce out there. There's no hanging about. Everyone's on it, and you know you have to be, otherwise you ain't going to win.
Speaking of no hanging about, they're back into it. David, thank you very much. Good luck, guys. Back to you.
Thanks, Brett. We're back under green. This is the pack going up Mountain Straight. And it's busy, very busy. The official margin, 3.6 seconds at the line. Jack Lebrock to Chiyo Sun driving the number 35 Nissan. cars 36 and 35, first and second in the race. We're back under green, 147 laps in the books, so too 6 hours and 36 minutes.
We've seen an awful lot of penalties levied for overlapping at the restart. Katsumasa Gio, though, played that one absolutely perfectly. He was behind a slower car, but right on the money as he crossed the start-finish line and got the best possible restart he could. He's closed the gap to Jack Le Brocq.
And also, importantly, in front of the Nissan, with only one car to pass to take it back to 1 lap behind the leader, is Tony Verlander in the 33 Clearwater car. Now, we're keeping a watching eye on this. If you cast your mind back 12 months to this race, the car that finished second lost the race by 0.4 of a second. We're 2.5 laps down just before the midway point of the race. HTP Motorsport somehow came back from 2 laps behind and almost won. This race is not over yet for that Ferrari.
And we're looking back from the bootleg of the Nissan, and behind the Ferrari you can see in the distance there is a green, black and white Aston Martin, and aboard that car is a very focused German, Stefan Mucker, an Aston Martin Racing factory driver. Third position at the moment, closing in on the Nissan, but looking for a way by that lapped Ferrari, the 458 there, red car with the silver stripes.
That Ferrari has got to be the quickest thing through the traps down Conrad, because nobody's had any kind of answer to the slipperiness of that Ferrari mid-engine V8, which does make a beautiful scream. This is the V6 twin turbo, of course, of the Nismo Athlete Global Team, the GTR, with such great history here at Mount Panorama, and reliving the glory days in the Nissan Nismo colours, as the V8 Supercar Ultima was here as well in the same colours. They'll run those for the whole of the season as well. Great global effort by Nissan Nismo through all kinds of motorsport and bringing on new talent through the Nismo GT Academy, and all of the guys in this car have been picked through that scheme. None of them have your classic karting and then Formula car backgrounds. They were all sitting on a couch doing their video games, well, in some cases only just over a year ago, and now we're racing at one of the world's top races.
Absolutely, powered by Tizer and Doritos, the Nissan GT Academy. And but as we, I think, said earlier in the weekend, guys, one of the things that we perhaps forget when we've got these guys, we've got a lot of racing experience, is they are online gamers. They know how to set up a race car.
Yeah.
What that means is they can play a part in the engineering side of these things, and that will play a part when you're trying to get yourself dialed into a new track, to a challenging track. There's no more challenging track in world motorsport than Mount Panorama.
So Jack Le Brocq leads the race, but I'm watching the splits of Tony Verlander. We will harp on about that 33 car, because as we've heard over the course of the race, they have now got their 2 best drivers and 2 of arguably the fastest Ferrari drivers pretty much anywhere in the world to do the rest of today's race. Tony Verlander is behind the wheel, the very speedy Finnish driver, and the Irishman Matt Griffin will get back in that car at some point too. He's setting personal best sector times. He's got 1 car to pass, and that is Jack Le Brocq, and he becomes 1 lap down. It's much easier to come back from 1 lap down than it is from 2.
We told you to look a bit further back than the Nissan to the Aston Martin. Look further back again, and coming into the back of the shot behind the Aston Martin now is the Audi. That's Laurent Vanteur, Belgian driver that absolutely smashed qualifying yesterday. He's closing in very quickly indeed as the number 63 car rumbles down pit lane.
This is now getting to be an issue for Stefan Mucker, because he is now under pressure, and it'll be getting ramped up a little bit. The heart rate that he normally controls, he's going to go for the inside move into Hell Corner. He's got it, he gets position, and in fairness, no issue there. He was probably held up by Montermini just a little bit too long, maybe a lap or so. It's all going to come down to how quickly Laurent Vanteur can get by and to see if he can get onto the tail. And that Ferrari is a rocket ship quick in a straight line. It's gone to just cover the inside line now, and a car that's laps ahead of him. We'll keep an eye on this while Shea gives us some news from the pit lane.
The 63 Erebus came in, and it was being driven by Nathan Morecambe. He got out of the car, handed over to Simon Hodge, and the team did minor updates to the car. They took all 4 Pirellis off, including one that was absolutely demolished. It had no air left in it. All 4 of the tires were heavily covered in stone, so I think you're probably right on that, John. Going off the track had something to do with the puncture, but the team went right to work, took all 4 tires off the car, and immediately began banging on the wheel wells to try and get a little bit of space back. The rear wing is actually pushed up because of the damage, so I don't know how much downforce that will be adding to the car, but it just came back in after doing 1 out lap, did a round. The team undid the front hood of the car, looked underneath, decided everything was okay, and sent him back out. He was in the garage for maybe 15 seconds total. These Mercedes SLSs are built like tanks, and they tend to go even when things like the Mountain get thrown at them.
Yeah, proved themselves in all kinds of 12 and 24-hour competition. The Mark Australia car, just about to say, in the background there, I saw a spoiler that didn't look to be going in the right direction, and the Mazda 43, the tube frame car, has gone around. This was the Starwell Cartage car in the Recaro Class I.
Michael Robinson behind the wheel, sports sedan racer. He runs a big 6-litre Chevy-powered Holden Monaro in Australian sports sedan competition. He's used to quick cars with a lot of power. It's Griffin's, of course, that he's at. We were looking down towards that when we picked up the other Mazda, and the black spoiler at the back of the car just appearing to be in the wrong direction. Couldn't tell whether it was someone at the side of the track or a car. It is this car, and again, he'll be looking for help from the marshals here. 500 volunteers around the circuit making this race work, and the tour teams may be called into action again. Hopefully he can find reverse like we saw Mark King did this morning when he spun just a little bit further up the hill at the cutting. It took him a while, I think, reset the car, find reverse gear and try and get it back together. No, we're not going to get that because we've just gone safety car. But full credit to race control. They waited, they were patient. But this will be frustrating for Tony Verlander because once again they've been flying but thwarted by another safety car.
I think that was a great call, because what you were getting race control there doing, they obviously know where all the cars are on the track. So whilst cars are going through in 1s and 2s, they're giving him every opportunity to get that obstruction moved. There's a big gaggle of cars that is coming up and fighting for position. What you don't want there is someone diving up the inside into Griffin Bend and then being faced with a big blockage in the road. Brilliant stuff.
The only place he could go is in harm's way. That's the point. It's a blind turn. And even with yellow flags, if there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to go.
This is safety car number 11, and the Mountain, even at safety car speeds, looks pretty intimidating to me from the Nismo Nissan GTR coming down onto the Conrod Straight, past the Bathurst Light Car Club on the left-hand side. There's jams and fruit available to the left-hand side here. I've seen that out all week as we've been driving through the cutting there.
There's a winery on the opposing side up Mountain Straight, so plenty going on. Remember, lots of full-time residences in and about the Mount Panorama precinct. Somebody does have the address as certain number, Conrod Straight. Mount Panorama Bathurst.
And there's Mountain Straight as well, isn't there, of course, as they go up the hill. On the right-hand side, there's a residence there, which is appropriately called Racelands, which is a great, I love it. Well, that car is dead stick there. Leader not working, and leader in the pits. Jack LeBrock brings the black and white Erebus Mercedes in, and the Clearwater car follows him in, Tony Verlander. Now, this is interesting. If Verlander can beat the leader out, he's going to get one of his laps back. They need to do a very quick turnaround for the 33 Ferrari in the foreground, the leader in the background, the number 63 car, and that's going to be a driver change there. So Verlander needs to get out quickly, and he's got his lap back.
Yeah, and then he'll be only one behind, and it sounds like a lot, but there's still 5 and a bit hours to go in the motor race. There's plenty of time for them to make up that extra lap, and with all the safety cars we've been having today, that's a real possibility. New tyres going on. Pirellis, and by the looks of it, front brake pads too.
First time we've seen this happening. A lot of people asking when we might see brake pads. You've got to watch the guy at the other side, open them at the same time so that you don't pop a whole load of brake fluid out and then cause air bubbles in the brake system. Got to get the driver to work with you here as well.
And this is important. Remember last year we had a battle for the lead between Craig Lowndes in a Ferrari and Maxi Book in a Mercedes. The Mercedes flew up towards the rear of the Ferrari at the end of the race because they changed pads. The Ferrari did not. So new pads, like we've said throughout the day, the little 1%ers, that could be the difference in braking performance when you're trying to execute a move later in the race. Good stop by Erebus for pads, driver, tyres and fuel.
And is that the 30? Oh, there's two Ferraris ahead.
No, it's the 49 and the 77.
Yeah,
Villander's already out.
Villander's gone. Villander's got a lap back.
He might well have his lap back here. I think we could be on. And that's pretty exciting. We want them back in the game. We need them on the back end of the lead lap.
Matt Griffin wants to win this race like nothing else on earth. Had a good season so far, Graham.
He has had a very good season so far, but talking to Matt earlier in the week, and you're absolutely right, very much wanted this one on his CV. He's been third here, he's been second here, and he desperately wants to have the number one.
And Bob Wen Song, the team owner at Clearwater Racing, who's been racing Asian GT for a long time, he's the same. He's invested a huge amount into this race.
Well, he's the unseeded driver there, but he is the most successful Asian GT driver in history in terms of wins in races and championships as well. So he's clearly a decent peddler, knows how to steer. Right, let's check down a few cars that are a little bit further down the field. The Icebreak Coffee number 12 Porsche, just hanging in there at the back end of the top 10. They've had a quiet run. It's Pat Long that's in the car at the moment, the Works Porsche driver. So let's find out from Barrett who he's talking to and what their strategy is to try and get them back to the front of the field.
Well, Chris Pither has just jumped out, and it's very hard to know that because he looks ridiculously fresh after a stint in that car. Chris, how's the car going, and what's your plan to move up through this field?
Yeah, it was pretty good out there, you know, to be honest. There were quite a few safety cars, so that made my job pretty easy. But the Icebreak Porsche felt pretty good. I was happy with the way we're going. We seem to make steady progress. We haven't got caught up in any carnage out there. There's been plenty of it, so I think we're in a relatively good position. We just need to keep doing what we're doing, stick to our strategy, and I think we should eventually start moving up the field.
I like the way you came in, you looked at the timing monitor, you got 9th and said, yep, that's good, we're going okay. What about driving conditions at the moment? I mean, we know the track's 55 degrees, the temperature outside's 30 degrees, it's 55 to 60 in the cabin. How are you managing that?
Yeah, to be honest, it's actually quite good. The Porsche is relatively easy to drive compared to what I'm used to. So I went out the gate and I didn't flick the cool suit on straight away. And when I did turn it on, it was quite a nice feeling. So I was comfy enough out there. And like I said, with the safety car period, you get a chance to relax and get comfortable in the car, adjust your belts, have plenty to drink. In saying that, I reckon the drinking water was probably 40 degrees as well, so it wasn't too nice, but tried to keep hydrated and just enjoyed it out there.
Maybe a nice cool icebreaker would just make you feel better.
Yeah, definitely. When you get out of the car, you can't beat a good ice cold icebreaker. Thanks, mate.
There's one for the sponsors, guys.
Cheers.
Yeah, good one. Big push from that brand in all kinds of Australian sport at the moment. You might have seen the announcement earlier on in the weekend. Well, once again, the racing gods have given us an opportunity to go away from the action here without you missing any racing. So let's take that, and we'll be back with more Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 hours for 2015. It's fast, it's free, and it's here live on Channel 7. Massive crowds at the opening of the Australian motorsport season here. We're racing on Mount Panorama at Bathurst for 12 hours in the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 hours for 2015. Not a campsite spot to be had on the infield. Extra camping on the outside of the circuit, and talk for next year that there might even be some camping up on the top of the mountain, such has been the demand for this international motor race. Richard Craill and Graham Goodwin, Daily Sports Car Editor, alongside me, John Hindhaugh, up here. We've got Shea Adam and Mark Beretta in the pit lane, and we've still got plenty of racing to go. Don't go writing any headlines yet. Over 5 hours of racing still to go, and that is the sad news, I'm afraid, for one of the tube-frame Mazda RX-7s, formerly the Patrick Dempsey team, of course, and we have been having a bit of a josh with Patrick Dempsey on Twitter, and there's definite interest from the IMSA driver. Well, of course, he's full-time
driver this year.
WEC, yeah, World Endurance Championship driver this year in a Porsche.
And not just Patrick from the world of not just racing but entertainment as well. A little bit of Twitterage with who else, John, this weekend?
Yeah, Eric Banner still interested as well. Now he's working this weekend.
We've just seen the Mazda that was in trouble there on the back of the flatbed. And we're going to be getting back to green pretty soon, but before then, John...
Well, you see, the Mercedes-Benz is such a great car. It's spending a lot of time out front. Now, yesterday, and I'm not really sure I want to do this, but yesterday, Dean Cantor was good enough not only to give Barrett a ride, but to give me a ride as well. And the ride of your life? Well, you be the judge as we go for a quick lap round Mount Panorama. Well, here we go then. I've driven round Mount Panorama in a number of cars. I've even been driven round, but not by a superstar like Dean Cantor on my right here, and this is an AMG 63 CLS, nearly 500 horsepower, and we're already halfway up the mountain straight, and you don't get to see on TV just how steep this is, and I can see nothing over the top of the rise. We get a little bit air there under the tyres. Now down, brake, nice and gentle for Griffin's Bend. Always looks like you can take a little more speed in here than you really want to. Dino working hard, takes it up the curb on the exit. You don't want to take too much there because the wall's very close. Up through the cutting now. Plenty of accidents here. Get down through the gearbox again. Nice late apex. Wait. Patient now on the throttle. Punch the car up the hill. And even the traction control on the AMG CLS can't contain all of that torque. Now this is the bit that's all about the ballet with 500 plus horsepower under the right foot. Just floating. Wait for the grate, then turning. No curb on the left-hand side. Balancing the car between brake, throttle, steering, fingertip control by Dean Cantor here, who is making this a fast but very, very secure ride. Now, the bit I've been waiting for to come through at speed, my first time down through the dipper at speed, and it looks even tighter than it does on the TV. The left front wheel scrabbling in the air as we drop down through there. Now, is there going to be a little poke on the throttle before the Falcon hairpin? Yes, there is. And we go through, nice early turn in there so we can get the power on. Just a little short shift there so we don't get too close to the wall. And now, breathe and relax. Check the gauges. One hand, change the station, make sure you're listening to us. Down Conrod Street, the stuff of my childhood watching the racing down here, and in towards the Michelin Chase. Use all the road on the left-hand side, turn it nice and early. Still on the power, now on the brakes. It's incredibly late for this left-hander with the really odd camber in the middle of the road, so you go across to the right-hand side just a little bit early there, and then drop out, use the curve under the Liqui Moly bridge. Now we normally go straight down and left at Maguire's Murray's, but we're coming into the pit lane, and Dino, I'm still alive. That's rapid.
I saw you have a few panic moments there, mate.
There was one or two little wide open eyes that got it there. And when I asked him how many times he'd driven this car around the mountain before we set off, he said, what, including this time? I said, yeah. He said, yeah, one. Good stuff, mate, and good luck for the race.
Thank you. Cheers.
Now, Graham Goodwin, when John came back after that ride, he said, no, easy, no problems, didn't raise a sweat, no fear. It was not a problem at all.
No, seriously, my hats off to Dean Cantor, getting a lap like that in that car with all that weight on the left-hand side.
And all the talking going on at the same time.
Absolutely.
I saw abject fear in those eyes. The gritting of teeth at the elbow as well was apparent to me.
Only from Dean carrying 110 kilos of success ballast in the left-hand seat. There is a story about a certain Porsche driver who took me out on a fast lap on cold tyres at Silverstone, who forgot, how can you forget that I'm sitting next to you, and missed his braking point for one of the corners, and we very nearly ended up having a huge accident because of the extra weight in the car.
We need to say our thanks as well to Mercedes-Benz for not only providing the safety car, but allowing people to drive it like that with passengers. But what a great advert for the car as well. So I take it from the vision you enjoyed that.
Well, what's not to like? You know, Bathurst at 60 clicks, as you said, as a public road, feels at parts too quick. And, you know, driving around in the Nismo 370Z that we had last year, or the hybrid Pathfinder that we've got this year, you know, you get an idea. And, of course, you want to drive the racing lines, and thankfully we get to go on it when the track is closed and there's nothing coming the other way. But there's nothing like going round it at speed, and Dean knows his way around here. He instantly got on the pace in that car and could feel the limits of, let's be honest, a street car on street tyres.
Well, I'll tell you, he was telling one slight fib, because he did have a practice lap, and I know he had a practice lap because I was out there in a Bentley Continental road car with Stephen Kane, and he came past us like we were standing still.
Chained to a post, I think, was what Stephen said.
And what you could see from our perspective was just how edgy that lap was. The car stepping out. That's not a road car. It may look like a road car, but that's a car that's been breathed on for track use here, and we're about to go.
It's AMG.
Yeah,
what more do you need to say?
We're about to go green flag racing again.
I was going to say, that is a car without its lights flashing, which can only mean good things for us. So too can this battle, because those cars at the front are very, very closely matched, and they are locked together. The first three cars, Chayo in the Nissan, Muka in the Aston Martin, and Vanthor in the number 15 Audi, the car that's been arguably the fastest of the day, are locked together. 1, 2, 3. This will be a fight for the lead in the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 Hour, and the field will soon become in the control of Chayo-san in the Nissan, and we will go back to racing.
And the second car there, the Aston Martin with Stefan Mucker's got to be careful. There was a little bit of an overlap there. He can't do that now. He'll be being watched. And watch Vantour in third position, because he gets the opportunity to see what's going on ahead of him. Now, when is the button going to be pushed by the Nissan? Now, and now into the braking area for Maguire Maurice as they go round it for the 155th time and come round to the green flag. Oh, it's not a bad start by the Nissan driver, but it's not a great one, and he's going to have to defend into the first right-hander. Down goes the splitter close to the ground as a slight mistake made by Mucker. Just has to get out of the throttle, and here's Vantour. Vantour's tucked so close under the wing of the Aston Martin you can barely see him.
The Aston's better in a straight line though, and it'll need to use the toe of the Nissan to help defend that position. He's sitting in the middle of the road, holding on from Lawrence Vantour, but there's no challenge from the 15 car there, and the Nissan scampers away for 2 car lengths on the run up to turn 2.
But once we get up on the top of the mountain, that's where the Audi comes into its own. That's where we saw record pace from the number 15 car in qualifying. Let's look when we get to the twisty bits what Vantour can do about the big V12 Aston Martin.
The problem is, it's all well and good being massively quicker than anybody else over the top. It's almost impossible to pass until you get down to the elbow. So you need great drive out of the dipper and try and send one down the inside at the Falcon Tyres elbow.
Isn't it amazing? We were talking about the patience of Chayo-san when he was in third position going through all of that traffic, and then in second, but not letting it get to his house. Now he leads the motor race, and a mistake then would have put him out of that position. And look what he's got now by being a little bit sensible. And that is what it's all about.
These are the very quickest tin-top cars over the mountain anywhere. GT3 cars, what a vast variety of cars we've got here. Vast. The Australian talent here for starters. Something great for us to see, John, when we come across and cover this great race. Joined by factory drivers from across the world. This is the newest endurance racing classic on the planet.
We're riding on board with Steve Owen in the number 32 Lamborghini, who has drawn this car back into something resembling contention in the motor race. 12th place, they were 2 laps down, they remain 2 laps down, but trying to get one of those back in this little stint. So they're 12th on the road. The reason we're following this car around just behind them is the number 10 Bentley, driven by Guy Smith at the moment, that remains in contention for an outright spot. They're 4th on the road and in contention, but Chayo crosses the line. He leads by 1.2 seconds. Stefan Mucker in second place, 1.2 behind. Vanthor third. This is the battle for second and third on the road.
I got very excited there as they went by, just for the noise as it hit the windows of our commentary box. Second and third still battling on. There is that Lamborghini we were talking about. They've got a great view of what's going on ahead of them. Look into the distance. That's the battle for second and third. Little chip in the windscreen there. They're going to have to keep an eye on that doesn't spread too much and get into the driver's view. Now down through the gearbox. Let's have a listen. Take a bit of curb on the exit. Oh, that's the 77. That is 5th place, and Michele Rugolo has backed it in. That would be coming out of turn 1, I think. He's clearly got it wrong coming out of Hell Corner. Now there's some damage to the rear.
He's got it fired up. This was the car sitting in 5th place, and he has made contact. I think he's hit one of the braking markers as well, perhaps, or the pit exit bollard. That's what it'll be. He spun across to the inside. Looks like he's kept it off the wall. Okay.
No, look at the right rear wheel.
I think that's part of the...
No, that's part of the polystyrene.
Yeah, the bollard that he's hit somewhere there at one of the braking markers or one of the exits. We'll see it here, replay. Now, he was caught back in the queue, in the traffic, putting a lap on the 47 Superbarn Porsche. Oh, he got slapped. He got hit by the former race leader, Dean Canto.
Flat hit the wall.
And that was for position. They were 5th and 6th on the road. So Canto looked, he took a wide line, Canto on the inside, and drove into the side of the white Kangaroo, and it was a Liqui Moly sign. And he did make contact with the wall. Bill, one sign to Bruce Morrison, care of Liqui Moly, please.
Yeah, he's done the suspension. He's not going to get that back. He's not going to get that back, and he knows it, and he's done the sensible thing. And just behind him there is an entry to the back of the pits. He would have done a lot worse than just pulling there and got him dragged back into the back of the paddock.
And thus falls one of the contenders. This car was absolutely in the mix. They were 5th, they were on the lead lap, they were stopping every safety car to put fuel in. It was all going so well for the nearest thing there is to a factory Ferrari GT team for AF Corsa.
Is he a happy punter as he gets out of there? Michele Rugolo will be wanting to have a wee word with Dean Canto.
Their plan A, I'm afraid, is in tatters. The challenge for the overall is certainly over for them. The
local yellows only, guys. We are still racing on the rest of the racetrack here, and Chayo leads from Muka. So now the question is, do we think it's going to go full course caution to get that car pulled out of the way, or can it be pulled back into the entrance to the back of the paddock, the camping area, without needing a full course and a safety car out there?
I'd like to think personally, it's out of the way, far enough on the side at Mountain Straight, but race control, no. Well, what do I know? I'm just a commentator. Yellow on the timing screen at safety car boards and flags for the 12th time today. 157 laps in the books, and once again we pause. An endurance race interrupted by some brief sprints.
Well, endurance racing tends to be sprint racing between pit stops anyway. That one, to me, is the very definition of a racing incident. I'm not blaming Dean Canto for that one at all. He's trying to get his nose up the inside and get position. And Rugolo is trying to get around a car. One guy moving right, another guy moving left. Sadly, come into contact, but I don't think Michele Rugolo quite sees it like that as he heads back towards that gate. He's not took his helmet off. Drivers not taking their helmets off are not happy drivers, I've found.
Race control will take a look at this. Race control will definitely have a look. Now, Rugolo was offline. He was wide getting through some lapped cars, but at the same point, he got drilled in the side. The old B-pillar rule will be sighted there halfway up the car.
Okay.
I wonder what race control thinks about that. They'll be looking at it upstairs, no doubt.
Now, the other thing is here, who is going to pit? And there's already activity down at the Nismo Global Athlete pit, so we'll expect to see the GTR coming in for Chayo. Muka hasn't been in that car too long, neither has Vantour. The other people who might just benefit from this is the 33 car, which we saw coming in, and first and second are in the pits. So Laurent Vantour is scored as the leader this time around in the 15 Audi as he goes through.
Absolutely on strategy. That's 32 laps a stint for the Nissan.
That's fallen nicely for them.
That's bang on. So the safety cars are being timed well for teams to get into their fuel window. There's a lot of safety cars so far, isn't there? So fuel going in. Fuel first. If they want to execute a driver change, they can do, but
happening.
It's not happening.
So no tyres either, Chris,
just been in there, waiting to refire the car.
Look at that, his fingers right on the button, ready to go. Oh, he stalls.
And goes, and the Aston is in the lane. It's so close. Well done. The two teams, that shows you the difference. Absolutely nothing. Two professional racing organisations executed identical stops, and the two cars that came in split by 0.8 of a second, leave split by exactly the same margin.
Just trying to see if Guy Smith went through. Yes, he did. So he'll be scored in second the next time we see them around. So by my workings, it's the 15 Audi from the 10 Bentley. Dean Canto might have slipped up the third there.
And look, guys, who's fourth?
No, he's not on the lead lap, excuse me.
Who's fourth in the queue here? It is the 33 Ferrari.
And this is the strategy of trying to get the lap back before.
they needed that stint to go longer.
Yeah.
Verlander needed that stint to go a bit longer so that the 15 car pitted as well.
Correct.
And the 10, because it needs to get past those two. If it gets past those two cars, the 33 finds itself one lap behind the leader. Great crowd assembled at the top of Mount Panorama in the shade. There, right, that was the metal grate, one of the best places to watch a racing car in Australia. And just sheltering away from this Bathurst sun and enjoying what's been a bruising motor race so far.
Just a thought, though, guys. Verlander, current FIA GT champion, of course, he might have the pace to actually drive by those other two guys, and it wouldn't be the daftest thing for either or both of them to let him go. Already puts him back just one lap down. But if he's sniffing around the back of their tailpipes, the last thing they want to do is get caught up in something. They've got their own battles to fight. It might be a radio message and get on the phone back to the pits and say, let's let him have it. For now, we'll race him later on. Well, again, we have the opportunity to leave the circuit without losing any race action, so we will take it and be back with green flag racing, we hope, when we come back to the mountain and the Liqui Moly 12 hours at Bathurst. Beautiful afternoon at Mount Panorama. Where else would you rather be? Enjoying the sunshine and some great racing. Well, how about down in the pit lane with Mark Peretta?
Oh, guys, well, Michele Rugolo back in the pits, just debriefing with the team after that spin on turn one. Tough situation. Can you explain what happened out there?
I don't know which car, but I think the Mercedes hit me from the rear. It was a restart after a safety car, so all the cars, they were very, very tight. I think it's a shame because we were very competitive, super quick. The car was perfect since the first day. I did a very good lap. Oh, yeah.
So here's the moment here. You can see what happened on our replay.
The corner was already finished.
So you have been tapped in the back there a little.
Yep. That's it.
That's it. A tough way to end the day because, as you say, things were going in the right direction. You were moving up through the placings.
We did almost the quickest lap of the race after 3 hours when the track was not anymore so quick. So the car was super balanced. Seems the first lap of the weekend, we didn't touch anything. The setup was perfect. The three of us, we have done, I think, a great job. No mistakes. Steve as well. That was coming from a tough experience from last year. Did an amazing job. Davide was brand new in this circuit and he was consistently one of the quickest in the track. I think I was in my stint the quickest iron on the track, so we could really fight for the overall race result.
Yeah. Tough way to end, but you've enjoyed your time at Mount Panorama?
It's fantastic. I mean, the circuit is incredible. A little bit, I think a little bit too many cars too much difference of speed one another, but the event is growing up, is really great. I think the organization is doing a great job. Yeah, very, very nice.
We look forward to seeing you back next year,
hopefully.
Thanks, Barrett. Down there with Michele Rugolo, who's a sensational driver. Very nice things to say about the event there too. And it's great to see AF Corsa. We've got such an amazing track record in every facet of GT racing and at every level of so much success. It's great to see them have a consistent presence here. Man, they were contenders today.
It's a rule in World Motorsports in GT racing. You're not allowed to start a race in World Motorsports and GT racing without AF Corsa being on the grid.
That's absolutely true.
Rather sadly, though, guys, it wasn't just the 77 car that was in trouble during that safety car period, because we had another car going down the pit straight on the back of a flatbed. It was number 27, Trass Family Motorsport car with a missing front left wheel.
Was that accident or finger trouble, do we think?
Don't know. I'm just looking back down the Twitter feed, but I think one of the spotters out there spotted the car having run straight on, and that car being brought back round to the back of the paddock now.
Well, the hashtag is B12HR, B12HR. Plenty of people tuning in around Australia and on the international stream as well, enjoying this race. It's just after 2 o'clock in the morning in the UK. It's late on Saturday night in the US. afternoon on the west coast of the US, and plenty of fans from there making their voices known as well. Hashtag B12HR. And thank you to everyone here as well for being our spotters out on the mountain and making sure we and the rest of our colleagues get the information as quickly as possible.
Truly interactive racing, isn't it? And
yeah.
I don't know if you mention Mick Ford from Toowoomba, out on the mountain at the moment. 5 kids aboard the family wagon, 14-hour drive to get here to see the Bathurst 12 Hours. You are more than welcome.
Yeah, great stuff. Bit of different horsepower there, just to the right of picture.
It's Mustang.
Just up Mountain Straight, just past the winery.
You've mentioned that twice now.
Left-hand side. Lights are out on the Mercedes-Benz safety car as we move swiftly on from that line of discussion, and we hopefully go back to some green flag racing. The field will bunch up behind Lawrence Vantor in the 15 car, and we'll go back to green. The battle is on with Smith up there in the Bentley. The leaders are in the mix. Now, the car third in queue is the number 33 Ferrari we've been talking about. It's driven by Tony Verlander, who's the current world champion of GT racing. He needs to get right to the back of this Bentley and the Audi R8 and get himself up in the mix.
Watch what he does here, because he's giving himself room to get the hammer down when he sees the leader go for it, rather than being right up the rear of the Bentley and having to accelerate at the same time. This could be clever stuff from Tony Verlander.
He's a little more than 5 car lengths back there. That's the only issue here. He needs to just be a tad closer, I think, as they come under the Liqui Moly Bridge in front of the Ridges Hotel and get ready to go. Now, when will Laurent Vantour hit it? Just before the braking area, gets about 2 or 3 cars lengths, and then Verlander gets a better run through the final corner, as Graham said, but he wasn't close enough there, and that hasn't paid off at all. You really need to be closer than that, Tony. Into Hell Corner for the 162nd time, and here comes the Nissan and the Aston Martin, and Mucker and Chio are at it again. The Aston Martin ahead of the Nissan as they go up Mountain Straight, but the Nissan drags up into the hole in the air that's been made by the Aston, and there's a chance here for Chio to go round the outside. That'll be a major effort if he does it, and he has. He's pulled it off. The Nissan had the power even before they got to the rise halfway up Mountain Straight.
That's third place, changes hands, and the Nissan goes back up into a podium spot. The Aston back down to 4th. The Bentley just a little bit further up the road. Car 10 sits in 2nd place despite its dramas today, and I wonder if Guy Smith has any pace to go with our race leader, Lawrence Vantor, the fastest man around Mount Panorama, and the 15 car back where they think it belongs. And after an amazing performance so far this weekend, a lot of other people do as well. Spare a thought for this Nissan team. They were at the track repairing this car until 4:30 this morning. They got it back at the track at 11:30 last night after leaving to put it on a jig after the crash in qualifying. That team has not slept. They literally stayed at the circuit all night, have not slept. They are going to be a bunch of tired boys, but man, they're working hard and so close to the wall on the entry to the dipper. Chaya is driving this thing very hard, and he's got to find 5 seconds to catch up to Guy Smith.
He has absolutely bonded with the mountain. He was brilliant when he was here last year.
In that case.
Yeah, well, almost too close, yeah. Not the width of an exercise book between the wheel arch there and the very solid concrete, which is always going to come out best if you try to go up against it in any way, shape or form. It's 59 on the tracks, degrees Celsius, 31 in the air. Our Michelin temperatures here at Mount Panorama. And through the Michelin chase comes the 35 Nissan Nismo. This is the car, remember, made up of the global athletes who have all come through the GT Academy.
I think, John, you might want to be keeping an eye too on the messages we get from race control, because I'm pretty sure we're going to see some penalties from that restart. And I think one of them might well be going the way of the 97 car.
Yeah, and the 35.
And the 35.
Which is the Nissan. We're looking at that now. We're getting word through. They're looking at it. So, could be dramas for the cars. 3rd and 4th in the race, and we're told that 2 cars had to dive to the gravel trap to take escape from that queue backing up, and I wonder if that means Tony Verlander, who was slowing everyone down in the 33 car, will also get pinged, and he certainly wasn't 5 car lengths behind the cars further up the road.
1,000 kilometres has been completed here at Bathurst, and we race on for another 4 hours and 38 minutes. And it's nip and tuck exactly as it was some 7.5 hours ago, and you still can't pick the winner.
Black flag, car 36. The Erebus Motorsport car does its drive-through penalty. Dean Canto behind the wheel.
Is that for the contact?
I would have a suggestion that it would be.
Was that just a drive-through?
Yeah. Drive-through penalty.
Correct.
It's still a massive blow to their race time and drops them to the back of these cars on the lead lap. A couple of cars have been sneaking up on it with the dramas that we've had in the last hour or so. Patrick Long in the Icebreak Porsche, P7 for car number 12. They are in the mix. They're only a lap behind. They've got to find 2 minutes to get themselves on the lead lap, but they are right in the mix in this one. Renato Liberto behind the wheel of car 49. That's the Vicious Rumour Racing Ferrari. Yes, the team is called that. It's one of the great names in Australian motorsport. They're 8th at the moment and also on +1 lap, 8 seconds behind Patrick Long. And Peter Edwards, the Flying B Racing Bentley, they have stayed in the game despite all their dramas today. They remain inside the top 10 and only, well, they're the first car 2 laps off the pace. Let's go down to Mark Beretta.
Well, with Jono Lester from the 27 Ferrari, Jono, that was heartbreaking. The car lost a front left wheel.
Yeah, look, it did. We've had a great run today. It's been up and down, but it's been such an amazing event to be a part of, and we were running, as high as second at one point. So, for this sort of thing to happen is, it's gut-wrenching. It looks like Graham's come into the last corner, hit the picks, and lost the front wheel. It wasn't loose, we don't think, because he'd been out there for nearly an hour and a half. So, obviously there's been a hub failure of some kind or something. We've just got to wait to get the car back and assess. Of course we want to get back out there and make a finish, but our chances of a podium, class and overall, now are gone. So, I'm really gutted, team are gutted, but I mean, they've worked their asses off after our car came here late, and so, I'm still really proud of what we've achieved this weekend.
Yeah. All the very best. We hope you get back out there, Jono. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
And in the classes, we've got a new leader in Class B, the Porsches. The 47 has gone through into the lead. The Superbarn Supermarket cars back up front again with Marcus Marshall at the wheel. They're having a pretty decent scrap further back down the field with the Grove number 4 car. As I just changed my tone there as Guy Smith took a tiny bit too much curb down through the S's.
Black flag, car 33. We called it Tony Verlander. Too far back in the queue.
It didn't help him either. That was the damn thing.
No, he shot himself in the foot there.
I thought for a moment he played a blinder. He didn't. He blew that restart.
Very, very disappointing for Clearwater Racing, who are hauling themselves back into contention. And just a reminder that when they're in the queue behind the safety car, they must remain 5 car lengths or less behind the car in front. And clearly, Tony Verlander was a long way further behind the 2 leading cars of Vanthor and Guy Smith. So, what a shame for Clearwater Racing. Just when it looks like they're coming back at the race, we certainly hope they can do it all over again. So Vanthor the margin 3 seconds over the Bentley, which at this point in time doesn't look like it's got the raw speed at this stage in the race at least to go with that flying number 15 Audi. And last time round, 205.3 for Lawrence Vanthor. Guy Smith, 206.0, 7 tenths the difference. Chio in the Nissan, 6.5, with Stefan Mucker locked behind him again in the Aston Martin. They have been inseparable today, and Mucker slightly slower than the Nissan, but the margin between them just 0.8 of a second. And we're still waiting on the 5th place car to cross the line, but it will be the second of the 2 cars from Phoenix Racing, the Crocodile Audi, with Christopher Husser behind the wheel.
It's been an up and down day for them, Krilsey, the 16 car. They, I think, dropped off the lead lap at one stage. Certainly, if they weren't off it, they were right on the tail end of it. Remember, had that little bump and run with the pre-mat number 11 Bentley early on the race that we picked up on camera. And at that point, they didn't have the speed, but it seems that the circuit is coming to them. Tyre choice is going to be crucial with the temperatures way up towards 59 degrees Celsius now. This is the hottest part of the track as far as the day is concerned, because the sun has now been on it for the better part of 6 hours, I guess.
Dean Canto continues to circulate. He's still on the lead lap for those Erebus Racing fans out there. He's 6th. He's behind Christopher Husser, who is 5th. So Husser 35 seconds from the lead. Canto 1 minute and 1. And at this stage in the game, he's the last car on the lead lap, which there are 6 with 4.5 hours to go. But if we have those 6 cars on the lead lap, perhaps as well that Icebreak Porsche we're looking at now, they can find a lap and get themselves back into contention, and they can get themselves into the final stint, the final 2 hours or so which is when the sprint race begins.
Absolutely.
We are going to have some kind of finish here at Mount Panorama.
And it is Patrick Long in the Icebreak car that we're looking at the moment, the coffee-coloured Porsche. That's the man most likely to get back onto this lead lap, should the cards fall his way.
The list of accomplishments this man has achieved in his career, Graham, is simply staggering. For a while, I believe the only factory Porsche driver in the States.
Yeah, I think it was, and still is the only American factory Porsche driver. Not just GT cars, of course, but has also done very well indeed in the Porsche RS Spider.
Yeah, drove with the Penske team, of course, back in the glory days of the LMP2 cars. Those massively quick downforce machines pumping out 600-700 horsepower and seemingly defying the laws of physics. Did his apprenticeship the way that not very many American racing drivers do. Came to Europe and raced in Formula racing, did pretty well, and took that knowledge back to the States. A product of Team USA, Jeremy Shaw's graduate program, and as much about the way the guys think and act as well as their driving talent, but Pat, a big supporter of young American talent and deserves every success that he's got. Love to see him have a crack in the 919, but I think he's rather tied up at the moment with his GT projects, and will be racing with Patrick Dempsey, of course.
He will. It'll be the two Patricks for the full World Endurance Championship.
Caught up the Nissan in behind two cars, the Trifford Venue Ginetta and the BMW 135, and that was a big moment for the Nissan there, and again expertly handled by Chio. He's unflappable, isn't he?
It's going to be a great race together, isn't he? But that has given Stefan Mucker an opportunity to get back on the boot with the GTR. Let's see what they can do as they come over the mountain and down that very rapid straight. The Nissan has been untouchable down there today, though.
This is an awesome stint from Chio. Unbelievable driving. Heads-up awareness at a blind point of the racetrack. And bear in mind, these GT3 cars, 4th and or 5th gear, depending on how they're geared, and anywhere between 190 and 210 kilometres an hour, with the aero pushing the car to the road, the big slick tyres working hard, and full evasive action to get the car stopped and no damage. Clearwater Racing car enters pit lane at very pretty Ferrari. That will not like the side of pit lane, though.
That will be his run through for...
He waited as long as he possibly could to pit. So we're looking at car number 16, Christopher Husser behind the wheel.
5th position for that car, and he's got a high-flying teammate in Felix Baumgartner. Let's have a word with him. Mark is in the Phoenix pit.
Yeah, Felix is making a great transition from space jumper to race car driver. Felix, congratulations. Your laps out there are fantastic. Well done.
Oh yeah, finally start understanding the car, you know. It's a lot easier now because I did a lot of laps. Also, when somebody's passing you who's a lot faster, you can hang on to this guy, you know, and he shows you where the right line is. So I'm trying to copy this, and it worked, you know, so I'm getting better and better every lap.
How do you find the experience around Mount Panorama?
It's awesome. It's such a demanding racetrack, you know, and at this time now it's cooking in the car. So I almost spent 1.5 hours in the car, and it's so hot and so energy-taking, but luckily I'm in good shape.
Is it as challenging and as enjoyable as jumping from space?
Well, this is a lot more fun, honestly.
Tell us, we're going to have a look at some of the vision of your incredible jump, but just talk us through your memories. What do you remember about that day?
Well, almost everything, because it was such an intense moment, you know, that it burns into your mind for the rest of my life. But what moment that really sticks out is that moment when you open that capsule door, you know, because then you finally get outside. So now your safe inside environment becomes one with the very hostile outside environment. So now you finally know your whole life depends on just the pressure suit. But then when I was standing there, I really enjoyed that moment. I was trying to inhale that moment, you know, because for 5 years we have been preparing so hard, and all the up and downs that we had finally paid off. So I was trying to breathe that moment, because I knew at that point I will never come back to that point.
Yeah. Felix, what you did was absolutely incredible. We're all still in awe of it, and it's so great to have you here in Australia. I hope you really enjoy your race day today and have great success. It appears to us that you are having a good time.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get back into the race car.
Hey, they tell me you're going to Hamilton Island for a bit of a rest up too afterwards.
That's Tuesday and Wednesday, lined up with my girlfriend.
You'll love it up there. It's a beautiful spot. Have a great race day. All the best. Thanks, Felix.
Well, if you jump out of a capsule in space, eventually you are going to hit the ground. The skillful part of that is doing it in a controlled way. Driving a race car, I would think, is a little bit more concentration for a lot longer time. Felix Baumgartner making that transition very well indeed in the 16 car, which lies 5th at the moment with Chris Hasser at the wheel. Still 4.5 hours of racing to come here on Channel 7. It is the 2015 Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 hours. Clear blue skies and almost 60 degrees on the track, giving us a great motor race here at Mount Panorama for the 2015 Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 hours. Barrett's is enjoying that sunshine. He's down with Bentley.
Well, I'm with one of your favourites, John, I think, the Bentley M Sport boys. Brian Gash is with me. Brian, the guys were just saying that they get the sense that you've got a deeper strategy here to get these cars onto the podium. What is that strategy?
Well, the strategy is to stay on the lead lap, stay out of trouble. There's still a long way to go, and that's the strategy. So we really need to get car number 11 up and try and unlap itself.
Progress is good. You're going very well. You must be happy for the first year Bentley's been here to be sitting so high.
Yeah, difficult conditions, difficult track. So we're learning a lot as we go along. We're happy to be here, but learning a lot as we go along.
And congratulations, because I think all the fans here have just enjoyed seeing Bentley on the track, and the cars have turned out beautifully. The team looks fantastic. It's a great presentation all round.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, I hope to see you back next year.
Yeah, I hope so.
And good luck this afternoon, Brian.
Thanks, Mark. Bye.
Brian has been involved in motorsport for many years. Even before he went to Bentley, he was in South Africa, and his home nation involved in some really fabulous projects out there for Ford. Oh, and we've got a Aston Martin. It's the 52 car that's in the wall, and that's just out of the final corner, just off to our right, spinning the rear wheels. The front end is caught up on something there, guys, and he can't get it out.
No, he's stuck in the gravel, John, on the other side of the car. He's not going anywhere. That car is absolutely beached, and unfortunately, a pretty rough day for the motion sport team out of Banbury in the UK. Took delivery of this ProDrive built Aston Martin Vantage V12. Well, I might mark my words. Hopefully they can get it out there. They took delivery of this car 2 weeks before they had to put it in a shipping container the 1st of December to send it to Australia. And they had it for 2 weeks. In that time, they stripped it, rebuilt it, tested it, sign wrote it, and then put it in the container. So huge effort, but they are firmly stuck in the sand.
And they're going to be hoping there's not too much damage here either, because it's going to go straight back into a shipping container to make it back to the UK for the first round of the European Le Mans Series, which this car is due to take part in.
It is damage to the front, the engine cover, the bonnet is bent.
Safety car called to the circuit. And yeah, there's no way they were going to drive that car out. That sand there is very deep for a reason. Even with the Michelin Chase in, the approach to that corner, 4th gear, 200 clicks, and barrel off into the gravel trap. Unfortunately, or fortunately for them, they've avoided hitting any tyres. So the Mercedes-Benz safety car will take to the racetrack once again. This is how they run, thanks to Michelin. Lawrence Vanthoor leads the race, but it really is on behind it. Bentley 2nd, Nissan 3rd, Aston Martin 4th, and the sister Audi to the leader runs in 5th place. Dean Canto still 6th on the lead lap, and just outside of that is Patrick Long in the Porsche. Renato Liberto, Pete Edwards, and Tony Verlander rounding out the top 10. The classes, John, looking very interesting as well.
Yeah, good battles there as well. The Darrell Lee top class, the A category, as we look at the Pirelli update. It's Vanthoor and Chayo, of course. Marcus Marshall in the Century Class B Porsche, 47 leading. Tony Alford is aboard the 54 Lotus, leading the Riches Class C. And the GWS Personnel Class D is still that BMW 1 Series, the 23 car. And it's the Mark Focus V8 leading the Invitational Class, the Recaro Class I. We might need a sandwich to get the Aston Martin out of the final corner. So while we do that, it gives us a chance again to leave the circuit without missing any racing. You lucky people, come back and join us on 7 at the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 hours.
Welcome back to Mount Panorama. That's the scene. Full campgrounds all throughout the weekend as the Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour continues here on 7. There are 4 hours and 17 minutes to go. 7 hours and 42 in the books. And Lawrence Vantor for Audi leads the race, though has just pitted, as has Daryl O'Young, or the Craft Bamboo Racing Aston Martin. There's some amazing talent in the field this weekend, and we've been very pleased especially to welcome back one of Australia's favourite sons. David Brabham has rejoined us, and earlier in the weekend we caught up with him to get his thoughts on a Bathurst return.
You know what, for any driver, whenever someone says, would you like to come and do Bathurst, the grin on your face is massive, because this is such a fantastic racetrack. Very unique, very few of them around the world that are like this, and, you know, Bathurst, the community, you know, they just love and absorb this racetrack, and you can feel it as soon as you come here. And yeah, really looking forward to getting out there and racing. Well, the goal is to win. I think any driver in situations, that's your goal. But you know, with a new car, I think there's a few uncertainties. So I think we're just going to focus on just trying to do the best job we can, and we're just going to have to see what the result is at the end. After this year, we'll have a better idea of what the car's really capable of. And then, obviously, going into the race next year, you'd be probably focused a little bit more on winning the overall event.
That's the man. Great to have him here. Le Mans 24-hour winner, former Formula One racer, one of Australia's most successful racing exports, and famous surname, sure, but man, has he lived up to it over what's been an incredible racing career.
And apart from that, Krills, I know you only formally met Brabs earlier on this week, which was something that I was very shocked about. He's just a proper bloke. Great guy, good football, fantastic soccer player, naturally two-footed. Could have probably earned his living at that. Turns his arm over and bats pretty well as well. Bats and balls left-handed, and is just an all-round good bloke. Also just launched Project Brabham as well. Check that out on the internet. Well, the safety car line is going through on the front straight. Not many takers for the pits, but Shea Adam can update us.
We did have one taker to the pits, in particular, the 97 Craft Bamboo Aston Martin that was running in second. Stefan Mucke behind the wheel. Stefan, you've never been to this track before this week, and now you're out there running in second. I'm guessing that you like it?
Yeah, absolutely. I really love the track. The car is running good. We are just a bit slow on straight line, so the Nissan is just an absolute rocket. I was ahead of him and he just passed me easily. So it's a bit difficult to fight against them. But the car is running good so far. We had just a little issue where I had to power cycle the car, but the car is running good after that. So yeah, let's see what we can do. Still a few hours to go, and I hope we can stay in that position.
Is Nissan your biggest competition out there?
There are so many cars we are fighting against, so it's not only Nissan, it's all so close together, so it's just too early to say.
Are you having fun?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really enjoyable track, great fights out there, so yeah, I'm really happy.
There are a lot of races that you go to where the pressure's on and it's go and win. And
yeah.
The factory sent manufacturer support in the form of yourself and Alex McDowell, but you're still out there having a good time. Is that just a giant stress relief for you before the season really kicks off?
No, it's a good start in the season, absolutely, and especially here with all these safety cars, it's always a sprint race, yeah? You race like 5-10 laps and there's another safety car, so it's sprint racing all the way through, and it's great.
Well, you're doing very well, especially for your first time. I'm not sure I believe you that you haven't been here before, but Stefan Mucke is having a good time and doing very well at the same time, looking for a podium finish.
Thanks, Shea. In the pit lane with Stefan Mucke. Got a quick shot of the 10 car in the pit lane, and Matt Bell's got back into that after his strife early on. So that's good news for the Northeast England driver. Hello to the guys over at San Diego, getting ready for Supercross this evening. Frank Wilson and the rest of the broadcast team, my sometime colleagues are over there who are enjoying some motor racing from the other side of the world. And whilst we've got the safety car out, that means again that we can slip away from the track without missing any of the racing action. It's live and free on 7. Liqui Moly Bathurst, 12 hours for 2015, and there is Matt Bell out on the circuit. He'll be going back to green when we come back.